Charlie, Charlie Kirky. I spot the perky. Charlie, Charlie Kirky. I just Charlie, Charlie Kirky.
Your underscore pal underscore blue 69 is the winner. Hi.
Almost heaven, West Virginia, Blue Ridge Mountains, Shenandoah River. Life is all there, older than the trees, younger than the mountains, blowing like the breeze. Country roads, take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home. Country roads.
Your underscore pal underscore blue 69 just subscribed with Prime.
Oh, you almost had it. You gotta be quicker than that.
Dorfidoodle is too slow.
Oh, you almost had it. You gotta be quicker than that.
Bitter Oblivion 0N is too slow.
Get salon quality hair color at home. Connect with a licensed colorist for free. Only at
New York City is nothing without pizza.
Christ, there's a boomer around here.
Hi, everybody. Hello, hello, hi. It's me, Charlie. That was a compilation from No King's Day. I couldn't find any compilations of protests currently for ICE or, fuck ICE, anti-ICE, whatever you want to call it. Hi, Blue. Congratulations on getting first. I saw Dorothy's here. Hi, Bitter. Oh my God. I was so confused. I was like, why is Country Roads playing? I only have 3 tabs open. What the hell? I closed out of all my tabs and then it was like, oh, Blue is just resubscribed. And I'm like, Blue coming in here again, fucking it up as I take the mic to the chin. Yes, new hair. Oh, you were in here last chat. Yeah. I dyed it. So, my grays are coming in, which is fine. I have no problem with gray hair. Oh, a little mascara or eyeliner right there. I have no problem with having gray hair. So I was like, look, my hair is orange from here to here, dark brown like here, and then like gray. And I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna dye it black. That way, when my gray hair comes in, it's a little bit more even than like 3 different colors on the hairline. So yeah, I updated it because I needed it. And so I'm hopefully, fingers crossed, not gonna dye it again because I've been pretty good about, not dyeing my hair. I used to dye it like every 2 weeks. Now I dye it maybe once every 2 months. I think the last time I think I went brown just after Halloween, somewhere around there, early November. And now it's like January 20th. I love it. Thank you. Um, I really, this is as close to my natural hair color without the gray as I could get. It's probably gonna fade a little bit post a few more washes. Very staticky right now. Very, very staticky because of all of the dry weather. I can't stand it. I feel like I'm sticking to myself. It's the worst. Absolutely the worst. I hate static. Okay. But yeah, I was trying to find some ICE protest footage that I could like compile together with This Land Is Your Land cuz it's by Woody Guthrie. He's also someone who wrote a very popular song. Let's see if I have it in my playlist. But I've been so moved by like the level like I can't even talk about it without starting to choke up. The level of like patriotism that has been happening across this country and like seeing regular everyday Americans start general strikes and like all this other and just come together, helping communities, building communities, helping each other, coming up with ways to be better. And it's so freaking beautiful. Like it's absolutely motivational. I don't even know if that's the right word. But like every time like I see it, I just get more and more proud to be an American. Not like Trump's America, not America KKK, America KKK. Like I'm talking like actually like I don't know. I don't even know what to compare it to because like the only things I've seen equal in levels of patriotism are like the the Selma March or like um I don't know. That's like the only thing I can think of that I've actually seen like footage of. Like when I think of like true patriotism, I think about like what Alexander Hamilton and Thomas, well, not Thomas Jefferson so much, but Alexander Hamilton and all the other founding fathers whose names I can't think of right now. What not only what they, signed their life away for because they could have been executed for writing the Declaration of Independence. But that's a huge risk. And now we're seeing like everyday Americans who, for just warning that their neighbors that they could be kidnapped by the Gestapo, are getting shot in the face. So I'm really proud of Americans. I'm not very proud of our president, though, who is a big farty fish boy, yapping it up. And I think he's still going. I think he's still yapping. It was like a little bit before 1, like 1:45, I think, when he went live. And like, we were joking about it in the Discord, but it's like, bro, how fucking smelly is that press room gonna be? Like, the dude, hey everyone, glad I could make it today. Glad you could be here today. I don't know if he's still alive. But like he eats Filet-O-Fish and Big Macs and French fries and Diet Coke all the time. And he poops himself. And we know he poops himself because at the oil executive meeting, they were like, it was so smelly. Um, one of the guys in the Discord, who's a dear friend of mine, has been and will always be. They they were like, could you imagine? They were like, Charlie, you've been invited to the White House press office for this meeting. Please go in. And then it's that meeting. He smells like ointment and pee. No, I'm pretty sure he smells like old people doo-doo. There's a very distinct smell. My mom used to do hospice care. I don't know if she still does. When I lived with her, she used to do hospice care. And sometimes she would take us with her. And sometimes she would come home with like the smell on her. Turns out I do not have the patience to train stupid people how to drive semi trucks. It's valid that you recognize that. Sometimes people will just be like, I'm going to power through. I'm just going to get through with it. And then they end up blowing up their office building. So I respect that you recognize that. I couldn't do it either. There's a reason I'm not in customer service anymore. It's not like a lot of it's my bipolar, a lot of it's my knees, but a majority of it is I can't stand the general public sometimes. Um so I remember my mom would do hospice and like I had multiple great grandparents. You know, one of my two of my great grandparents lived with my regular grandparents who had us like on the weekends and all summer. And like so not only did I get to watch my great grandfather die, I also got to watch my great grandmother die, which was awful. Especially for people who had like dementia, Alzheimer's, things like that. That's why those things are like very hard for me to talk about. But the smell old people have, and like, look, I'm gonna get there one day. Hopefully, God's willing, I make it to the ripe old age of 150. He smells like porta potty that's been sitting in the sun, neighboring an elderly get together where the main dish is chili. CHILI baby cakes. I know you're from the north, but you have too many L's and Y's in there. But yeah, old people have a very distinct, it's kind of like a hollow smell that like, and it's not like sickly sweet like by like diarrhea, but it's like fruit. And it's like fruit and poop is the best, like an applesauce poop. The only thing I could maybe think that's close to it is like alcohol, like poops. Like the day after, like you've had a real rough night drinking and like you've had one too many, like vodka cranberries, maybe. You've still got too many L's in there. I used to work elderly care as a nursing aide. I know the smell well. Yeah, okay, so you totally understand. Yeah, so I'm trying to picture like old people farts with like Filet-O-Fish and like Coke Zeros tacked on. See, now it just looks like you're yelling chili, like you're like chili, like you're yelling at Bluey's mom. It's just old people fart, and again, I'm not disrespecting old people. I'm just saying that there's a very distinct smell. So if I was ever invited to the White House press meetings, which I never will be, but if I was, if I somehow managed to make my ass in there, boy, you best believe I'm turning up the theater kid to 11. I'm gonna be like, oh my god, does anybody have like Febreze? Like I would be fucking milking it, man. You think my kids are dramatic? Wait till you see me. Where do you think they got it from? And then the other thing that was suggested was just like play Obama's speeches on my phone extra loud. And I was like, that's fucking funny. Because he hates Obama. I think Trump hates Obama more than he hates Biden. And I think a lot of the hate for Biden is because Biden beat him in the election versus like Obama, who like not a good person, not a good president, but very revered and hated by Trump. Okay. More people were deported under Obama than were deported currently under Trump. And a lot of that did not have Gestapo going. In fact, I think most of it did not have Gestapo going door to door, busting in people's doors, asking for papers, not even asking for papers, grabbing people with illegal paperwork and just shipping them off. And I also found out that apparently ICE, not on top of their signing bonus, which is like $50,000 after 5 years of service. So that's not technically like a signing bonus. And also, if 5 years from now, unless the United States goes into active war with itself again, the ICE will not be around in 5 years. Okay. Most of those people most politicians right now on the local level are trying to pass legislation or writing up legislation to make sure people who've worked for ICE will not get any government jobs again, will not be able to work for a school. They're going to be treated worse than pedophiles because in this country, we don't punish pedophiles unless they're like, I don't know, we accuse gay people and trans people and drag queens about, that crowd's really quiet lately. Where's the why don't you think about the children crowd? Where are they? While 6 months olds are getting tear gas in vans. Where's the won't you think of the children when moms are getting shot in the face? What happened to going after drag queen story time hour? Okay, what happened to those people? Where are the don't tread on me now people? The fuck? Why do we have a Second Amendment if you're just gonna sit there and post pictures in your flag about it? Like, where are they? Where are the won't you think of the children people? Kind of quiet on this front, all right? All quiet on the woke front. I have so many questions. And none of them will ever probably get answered. And that's okay. I just have to learn to accept that. They're busy not thinking about the children. It was never about the children. We all fucking knew that. They said the same thing in the 70s when Harvey Milk was running again. I think it was against Proposition 9, which would have criminalized being gay or wouldn't allow people who were gay to have positions of authority, so teachers. And that was something big Harvey Milk ran against. And they were saying the same thing then. Won't you think of the children? We can't let the gays around the children to indoctrinate them. And it's like, the fuck you doing at church then? Hello? I'll never get it. This country is so ass backwards. Anyway, you know what's good for this country? I'll tell you what. It's I lost it. I was like, oh, I'll go back to the Woody Guthrie song while I try. Oh yeah, Zora Mamdani. I remember. Got there. So, Zora Mamdani, I don't know if you guys follow him on any platforms, but Zora Mamdani, oh my God. Every day I get more and more jealous of New York. And every day,
New York City is nothing without pizza.
every day I saw a tweet and it was like Zora Mamdani is the Isabel of New York. And I was like, oh,
New York City is nothing without pizza.
not. We're having pizza for dinner tonight too. I'm not even in New York City. I do like that it's a rat. Because you're all about the rats, Blue. And you're from New York, not New York City, but I just think that's really funny. But Zora Mamdani, every day on at least his Twitter, he is posting something new. He's having a press conference every day, and it really feels like he is Isabel. Every day I log in to Animal Crossing, I'm greeted with some good news. There's a villager in the campsite. There's a hotel that opened up. The museum is opened. Flick is visiting the island. It's almost always good news. Very rarely am I like, Isabel, you suck. Why aren't you doing your job? She comes on every morning and she's telling us something. And Zoran has been the same exact way. I can't even name all of the things he's announced in the last 20 days. But the big ones are the opening up education for preschooler. I don't even know what it was. Was it universal childcare? Was that what it was? He's, he's telling landlords, if you have too many complaints, we're taking over your building, which is then going to create government housing, which is then going to create affordable housing for people who actually need it. Like, every day they're putting attended public restrooms across the city. It's day 20. He fixed a bump in the road. Like, it's wild. Your politicians are dog shit, okay? And Zoran, and I said this before, and I said it when he got elected, and I said it when he was running in the primary, but Zoran is going to be the example that everybody either holds themselves to or wants to surpass. And if we are not holding our elected officials to moving as good as Zoran, they're not doing their job. Period. Okay? Zoran is doing fantastic. It has been 20 days and there have been so many things that I cannot keep up with, okay? And I love every one of them. Now, he's a mayor, so it's a little bit different than a congressperson or a senator, but my God, none of those motherfuckers in DC have a spine. Maybe like Ro Khanna. I'm seeing more fire from candidates than I am seeing from currently, like, people in office. Like, I saw one guy, that's the guy I think I was just mentioning the proposal. He's like, yeah, we're going to introduce legislation so people that have worked for ICE can't get a job in the government or as a cop or anything. And then there's other people, like, there's so many people who are running that are just like on the fuck ICE train. And one of them is my lovely partner and husband, Joshua Taylor, who is running for New Jersey's 2nd district or District 2 or however you want to say it. Wasn't that a lovely segue? But as you can see, some of his top policies are abolish ICE, tax the rich, Medicare for all, increase federal minimum wage, legalize federally marijuana, stop corporate lobbying, hold corporations accountable, stop supporting any nation engaging in genocide, hold incumbent politicians accountable. Like, fuck you, Cory Booker. Fuck you, Andy Kim. Fuck you, Jeff Van Drew. You guys suck dick. And I hope this guy kicks your ass hard. All right? Yo, if Hobby gets the primary, if Josh gets the primary, you better believe he is going to absolutely destroy every current elected official in Congress. He will beat Cory Booker so bad politically in terms of like what he's putting out for the good of New Jersey in this country, so bad he's going to look like scrambled eggs at the end. Like, for real. Okay? Hobby's good with his hands, but he's way better with his words. Okay? Like, I don't think you guys understand. Like, he has maxed out his bard. Like, he has maxed out charisma, and like, it's just sometimes him and I spar verbally, and like sometimes in a joking way and sometimes in an argumentative way, and like 9 times out of 10 he's winning that argument. Okay, there are very few times where I slip him up, and usually it's like I'll be like, "Oh, does this dress make me look fat?" And then he'll be like, no, I think that color looks nice on you." And then I'll be like, "So did you just call me fat?" Like, we have like moments like that where it's like we set the other up to do like a "did you just call me fat" moment. It's great. But yeah, I've been shit posting and a reply guy under everybody on Twitter, and I'm just like, "Ugh, I am so going to get like Hassan and Mike from PA are gonna ban me, and Austinox and like Polling USA, like I am gonna get blocked by so many people." But you know what? It's worth it. It's worth it to get the word out. 100%. Everybody should know about Joshua Taylor running for New Jersey District 2, 2nd District, for Jeff Van Drew's seat. Hell yeah. And also, I have some tea. The guy, 2 of the people that are running, I don't know about the third. Her name is Terry. I don't know anything about her, and she won't be at the Democratic meeting on Wednesday, tomorrow. So, two of the people, one of them is a guy that lives on the border of the district closer to Philly than he does like actual South Jersey. We're near Vineland, we're near Hamilton, we're 30 minutes from Atlantic City and Ocean City, we're 45 minutes from Cape May. You know, I'm 45 minutes from Manahawkin. So like we are near this area. We are actual Jersey locals, not some bumfuck out in he's not a bumfuck. He's actually rich. He's another rich boy who lives in like a townhome that pays a mortgage. And it like lives near Philly, in the Philly suburbs of New Jersey. And then the other guy that's running is a Nepo baby. His daddy's actually got money, and that's how he's funding his entire campaign. And when somebody sent me the video of him in a protest, I was like, that dude is milk toast. Who the fuck is he? And I can't stop being like, who the fuck is that milk toast twink? Like, he's like, I don't even want to give him like press. He's like, you can tell he's never actually had like hardship in his life, you know? Like the way he talks, he doesn't actually talk like people who've actually struggled in this area, people who have actually suffered under Trump for longer than just his presidency, you know? He's not aware of all the construction companies and unions that were taken out, you know? He's just some rich kid. And it pisses me off, and I'm trying not to make him my mortal enemy. I'm trying to focus on Cory Booker and Cory Booker alone. But seeing a Nepo baby come in there and try to talk like policies like they're going to be helpful when you're... Oh, actually, I'm going to be honest with you. What I saw from him, he did not talk policy. Every video I've seen of him on TikTok has been him talking about we're not them. We're not them. And that's not a fucking campaign strategy, okay? That doesn't fly in 2026 anymore. Suck my dick from the back, okay? For real. Like, you cannot come in here and be like, I'm not Jeff Andrews, so that's why you should vote for me. It's like, no, bitch. Go home. Give me some policies. Give me some abolish ICE. I haven't heard him say shit about abolishing ICE. He's not saying anything about taxing the rich. He's not saying anything about Medicare for all. He's not saying anything about federal minimum wages increases or stopping corporate lobbying or federalizing marijuana. He's not saying dumb shit. He's saying, vote for me, I'm not him. And that's fucking weak. Okay. I hate it. God, I'm trying not to pop off today. I was in a great mood. I've been singing all morning. I like hurt my throat from singing so much. But like nothing pisses me off than a Nepo baby trying to get what he wants. And then like, oh my God, it's just like Trump, a Nepo baby trying to get what he wants by not actually presenting actual policies that help the people. But I gotta keep my mouth shut. I gotta stay away from shit. I'm so bad. Like, literally, I've already told Hobby, I'm like, I can't go to the debates and I can't go to a lot of, unless I'm going door to door. I don't think I can help, and like doing secretarial work, I don't think I can do much for the campaign because I'm a loose cannon. Like, I am not safe to be around verbally or potentially physically, especially around the DNC, man. I still am bitter about them kicking me out, okay? I know everybody's like, oh, Hassan got kicked out in front of like 65,000 people on live. And it's like, okay, well, I got kicked out first and before the convention even started. So get in line, Hassan. Some of us were getting ghosted after we got invited to go by our local, like, what the fuck are they called? The people that pledge their votes? Electorates? I got invited, and then they ghosted me because they didn't like the fact that I was talking mad shit on Kamala, and also because one of the LGBTQ liaisons was like, we don't know what young people have to offer us until they bring themselves out here. And I was like, well, that's kind of like, you know, not being helpful if you're not going to go to them. And then I was like, well, what if we did like a gay night at like a club? And they were like, oh, they just want to hang out. They don't actually give a shit about politics. And they just want to drink at the bar with their friends. And it's like, okay, well, wouldn't like a DNC sponsored gay night be good publicity for the DNC? I'm sorry. What? Hello? Community events? Hello? Are you fucking stupid? That's the DNC I'm dealing down here with, okay? They also, oh my God, they can't stop carbon copying everybody. They can't. Every email I get from them is reply all. I don't understand it. Like, what the actual fuck? How do you not know how to send an email in 2026? Okay? And this isn't the first time, okay? Not only do I have every candidate who's running now, I have their email addresses, but I also have all of the email addresses of everybody in the DNC in New Jersey. Because these dumb motherfuckers don't know how to blind carbon copy. God, I hate them. And then you call them out on there and they're like, ugh, who's Fanny Wiggles and why does she hate us? And it's like, bitch, you're not doing anything. God, I'm angry. I was doing so good. I didn't even have the camera on me that whole time. I'm so tiny. I feel like I'm shaking a little. Anyway. So, where have I been? Okay, so I took off most of the weekend, I think. I think I tried to stream Saturday, and I think only, like, one person was here. I think it was Dorothy, maybe. Maybe Blue for, like, 30 seconds. But, I wasn't live for very long, because I was like, "Ugh, I don't usually stream on Saturdays, so most people wouldn't even bother trying this." So I don't know why I did it, but, um, the kids had school off from, like, Thursday to yesterday, and it was just too hard to try to, like, figure out to, like, schedule around stuff, especially with running the campaign now. So, we're just I just took off. I just needed to. Um, but now we're here and we're queer. And there were other things I want to talk about, but I was still stuck on the filet o fish farts. Our president in chief filet o fish farts. When they said burger right, I didn't think they meant like that. Also, I think the stock market is crashing. Does anybody have word on that? Oh, Macron.
To have tariffs and be divided, and even to threaten now with additional tariffs. We can use, the crazy thing is that we can be put in a situation to use the anti-coercion mechanism for the very first time vis-à-vis the US if they put additional tariffs. Can you imagine?
Okay, he's speaking too French for me. I can't understand. I'm so sorry. It's nothing against you or the French. It's cold in here. It's cold in Jersey. It's 25 degrees. Oh, did you guys see the Northern Lights last night? The Aurora Borealis? Who got to see it last night? I have not been online much the past couple days. Yeah, I've just been shit posting the flyers under people's posts. And trying not to pay attention to anything else other than like what's on my Twitter feed so I'd know to comment appropriately. Oh, I know what I wanted to watch. The Freestyle of the News. I started that today and didn't finish it. And it talks about how the Insurrection Act and stuff like that. I really like Zed because he I started watching The Twilight Zone on Paramount Plus. That's great. Hey, is V for Vendetta on Paramount Plus? Or is it on Amazon? We're sitting at 40 Fahrenheit. Freestyle! That's like, hold on, let me do the math. That's like 7 degrees Celsius, right? Hold on, let's see. Oh my God, it's 4 degrees. I was so close. There's 2 movies I'm debating on watching for the Discord or making you guys watch for the Discord movie night. Either V for Vendetta or Milk. Those are like my top 2. And if somebody has a third suggestion, I'm open to it. But I have to find them. And I have to find them on a screen that's going to be able to be picked up by the Discord screen record. Um I'm getting so much better at calculating Fahrenheit from Celsius.
Oh no!
Ugh, sorry.
Hey.
I'm only good in freedom units. Yeah, I only measure things in cheeseburger and french fries. Okay, for real though, I high key love the way Americans measure things because instead of being like, oh, the pothole was, 5 foot wide, they'd be like, the pothole was the size of 2 dishwashers. It is on Prime Video for buy or rent. How do we get it for free? I have it on DVD. I should just invest in like a DVD player that I can hook up to my capture card and just play it. I have so many movies we could watch. We own like a lot of physical, like hard copies of stuff. Physical media, as it's called now. But yeah, I've seen so many things where it's like, oh, the deer stood 1 truck high. It's like, okay, there are different sizes. Like, not all dishwashers like, are we talking wide, like 30 inches? Some dishwashers are 32. I've seen them a little bit bigger than that. Then they're usually 25 to 32 deep. Like, how big are we talking here? It's on Movie Box. Okay. I couldn't remember the name of the platform and I couldn't find the chat. Okay. But I forgot. I was ranting about this in the Discord too. Once again, guys, we're headed for a Great Depression because of tariffs. Say it with me now. Charlie is almost always right and has approximate knowledge of most. That's a little long. Charlie has approximate knowledge of most things, okay? And the 2 categories are history and boats and how boats are affect American history and are the reason for most of the wars we go into. That's it. Those are my hyperfixations. The American Empire is my Roman Empire. Okay. Anyway, we're gonna watch Freestyle the News. Zed does a really good job of explaining about how the Insurrection Act works, what happens with that, and like also voting. Yeah, boats suck. They do, and they're also the reason for most of American intervention. I'm so
Fuck ice, turn a minivan to a gunfight. Tell you calm down, you probably ain't getting jumped right. All these motherfuckers been spinning here till their tongue white. Fire on the streets, they lighting up like a drone strike. Oh, the revolution is televised. You saw the footage, they telling you get some better eyes. They trying to push it like everybody they wanna buy. They trying to push it like every time that they wanna lie. All of the oil, they kill you here for the spoils. The propaganda is crazy. News to treat them like royals. The motherfuckers too lazy to battle against the foils. AI, all of their arguments, motherfuckers is spoiled. I'm tired repeating history over the noise. Everybody hot taking a moment, they waiting the voice. I'm stuck in a pit stitching a booth that you trying to avoid. More doomers out here than the trailers you leak to the boys. I got the prices up, the heist is rushed. They bite the cuff like right before they fight the judge. They tape the crash and snatch you off the steps in class until they keep on tweeting online trying to save their ass. It's like fuck ice, turn a minivan to a gunfight. Tell you calm down, you probably ain't getting jumped right. All these motherfuckers been spinning here till their tongue white. Fire on the streets, they lighting up like a drone strike. Fuck ice. In my city they like fuck ice. We be out here trying to run fight. They be calling us the wrong type. Let me hear it now. All you see is riotous. That tends to happen. You only hire profilers. Double check the mileage, fire off with the violence. Ayatollah and white blonde people on streets when you bury all the alliances. Sycophantics, get you anxious. Go ahead on that podcast, fuck a standard. All the people who just lost say they got the answers. All these new mental gymnastics trying to co-sign a fascist tell you got it backwards. The era of spin back the pill stack. Conspiracy theories that feed you while your shit's tracked. Build app, frown depression over the skill gap. Insurrection act, no midterms, it's pure fact. Some people want to just burn shit till it feels right. Fascists give you a massive cock back with a steel pipe. Euphoria here for a minute, then you hit real life. These motherfuckers the same guy. Real talk, fuck that. Let me catch you up on a run back. Want you the ones who said no protection with just masks. I see you panicking, motherfucker, that shit tracks. They say that it'll never happen till it does, Jack. Fuck ice, turn a minivan to a gunfight. Tell you calm down, you probably ain't getting jumped right. These motherfuckers been spinning here till their tongue white. Fire on the streets, they lighting up like a drum strike. Fuck ice. In my city, they like fuck ice. We be out here trying to run fight. They be calling us the wrong type. Let me tell them now.
His desk is high like mine, except his goes down. Okay, wait, before we get into this, I do need to talk about one thing. So, like I told you guys, I've been shitposting and being a reply guy. I'm usually not that guy. Okay, sometimes I comment. I've gotten more commenty over the last few years because I need to. But, as like a content creator. But I So I don't know if you guys have been paying attention, but Connor Eats Pants has been absolutely ratioing every single person online. It's been beautiful. I love it. He's either ratioing them or inviting them or their significant other on Fortnite Fridays, but in like the most like funny fucking way, man. And I had to reach out and I had to be like, Mr. Eat Pants, I'm a big fan. My partner, however, cannot 360 no scope, and I'd love to see him on Fortnite Fridays while discussing his policies and views on politics. Because it would be really funny if that was the crossover. Like, could you imagine Hobby on Fortnite Fridays? Like, 45-year-old politician, extremo communist politician meets based Fortniter. It's a partnership. Okay? Connor Eats Pants, please, I beg you. He's got excellent policies. They can all be found on his website. Taylor for Congress, running for New Jersey 2nd District. Here are all of his policies. I'm just going to slow through them. You can pause the video if you'd like. That would be badass. I know. If only I could clip this and make Connor see it. If only. But yeah, I wanted to share that because I was like, that was pretty funny. He can't, well, sometimes he can 360 no scope, but it would be really, really funny. I would love to watch that. So I just, the other things have been like I don't get very many likes on my shit, okay? I have a very small profile, but somebody said ICE is going to try to do Philly next after Minneapolis, LMAO. If y'all got PTSD from Minneapolis, then Philly's going to drive y'all directly to hell. Better resign now. And I put, they have no idea what they're walking into. For those who don't know, this is Gritty, okay? This man, this mascot is wonderful, okay? I don't remember exactly what year he was introduced. I want to say it was sometime... sorry. So I think sometime 2013, 2014, sometime before 2016, he starts showing up, right? He's the Flyers, the hockey team's new mascot. I don't even know if they had one before. He is wonderful, okay? And then the other thing that I talked about with Javi is that the other mascot for Philly is the Philly Fanatic, okay? Look at this. We have a Muppet monster versus a monster Muppet. You don't fuck with Philly. You don't, okay? Like, their team won and they still rioted, okay? They ate horse poop and their team won. I can't stress this enough. And I understand people are like, oh, optics. Optics this, okay? Optics Gritty, all right? I don't know how to tell you otherwise. Like, don't fuck with Philly. Even I know that. And I'm from Jersey.
Phil Murphy. We're from Jersey, baby. Baby, 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 baby. And you're not.
Salute to Phil Murphy. Yesterday was his last day. Congratulations, Mikey Sherrill, on your governorship and the start of your new career. Can't wait to see what you do. I hope it's as good as Abigail Steinberger did. Abigail Steinberger was not only roommates with Mikey Sherrill, but she's also the newly elected governor of Virginia. Oh my God, did she pass so much stop, don't judge me. Yeah, see, I knew I was spelling something wrong. I don't want to talk about her fucking clothes, AP News. She pulled a Zora Mamdani and like passed a bunch of stuff. Okay, I can take you to my likes. I haven't liked anything. We won't free scroll Twitter today. Free scroll. But I'm sure it's in my likes. That's her. She also was in the military. Also, does anybody know who Will Stinsel is? I keep seeing people, like, I've been following this story just on Twitter, and like every day somebody is talking about something new he's doing. I have no idea who this person is, like Will Stinsel. But all I know is every day it's like, oh my God, Will Stinsel is in the streets. If he keeps falling ice around, he's gonna, start the fight with the proletariat or something like that. And it's only gotten progressively funnier. And this one today was the day Stinsel learns he can swap his dinky horn out with a train horn will end social media as we know it. Our governor just has a very unfortunate last name, Cox. I I was looking at plants today because I'm throwing a seed swap. Well, I'm gonna have a seed swap. He's trash too. I'm hosting a seed swap, which is when people get together and they trade flower seeds, fruit seeds, vegetable seeds, herbs, whatever. And I was looking up native seeds to New Jersey that I could keep an eye out for when plants start coming in. And one of them was called like, what was it? Hold on. I gotta find it. I don't want to mess this up and get like all that. The No, it's not a pussy willow. It was something else. But pussy willow is still funny, but it wasn't pussy willow. Uh I couldn't stop laughing. I was just over there like giggling like somebody said 69. And then my stepson looks at me and I was like, ha, pussy. And then I was like, did you know that plant names are only slightly less good than bird names in terms of how they are named? And then I was like, there's a bird called a tit. And then I was like, oh, there's also blue-footed boobies. I mean, what is a swallow by any other name, you know? It's not like you call him a spitter. Kill me. Anyway, I don't know who Will Stinsel is, but I'm enjoying his journey through Minnesota. Look, here's Zora Mamdani again.
Shouldn't be doing. How about we start telling them what they should be doing? If you're a New Yorker between the ages of 14 and 24, it's time to start thinking about how you're going to spend your summer. And the city's here to help. The Summer Youth Employment Program is back for 2026. This program, also known as SYEP, connects young New Yorkers with employers so that you get a paid.
Look how awesome that is. He's already giving the youth jobs for the summer. Wonderful. Can you believe it? He's putting people to work in a way that will actually help them.
Job.
God damn it, Isabella.
Real experience and helps you kickstart your professional career.
Isabel,
and if
sorry.
you're a local employer hiring summer staff through SYEP, the city will foot the bill. And all we ask for in return is that you help build the next generation of leaders in our city. So don't get caught sleeping. Apply today at nyc.gov/SYEP.
I really like that they did this on a couch, but it really would have been funnier if he was at the beach. It's just been so cold, though. 1 second. I just have to check message. Okay. There's a TSA meeting at 6, but I'm not going to be able to attend. I'm here. God, what did she do? Where is it? Where's the list for Abigail? Where is she? Today, I said the word. Oh, Bernie was in New Jersey and I can't get his team to respond to me. Please, I'm begging you. I'm trying to run the most progressive candidate you've ever seen in your entire life, who's also a tall, burly ginger. Like, please. Help. Like, he's basically like divorced dad Graham Plattner, but like divorced dad married to a MILF. Like, I definitely swung out of my league and hit, okay? For real. that I'm not gonna gloat about him, okay? I'm sorry. He's perfect, and you guys all know I think that. But he looks like Graham Plattner, but if he played Warhammer, okay? But if instead of being in the military, he played Warhammer 40K and hated the government. There is the list of stuff. Oh, here we go. No. Where are you? Did you guys know Green Day is gonna open the, I almost said the Olympics, the Super Bowl? You can tell I haven't smoked in a minute because I am all over the place. And I'm in a better mood now. But I can't get my words right. Um I forget what I was gonna say. Oh well. Is he really that short? Is this photoshopped? Is he really this tiny? Okay, are these dudes like 6'1" and he's like 5'1", or are these guys like 5'7" and he's like 4'1"? Like, what are we looking at? I think my toddler's bigger than him, guys. No disrespect to the other short kings out there. A lot of disrespect to that guy. I've only been out here for an hour and I already have to use the restroom. Where is it? Oh, here we go. Found it. Okay. Virginia Democrats now have total control of the state government and immediately moved to, oh yeah, that's right. They won like a bunch of seats, not just the governor. End police cooperation with Trump's ICE. Pass new maps to combat Trump's gerrymandering and eliminate up to 4 Republican House seats. Enshrine LGBTQ plus rights in the state constitution. Enshrine abortion rights in the state constitution. Protect and expand voting rights. Fire Republican appointees to the University of Virginia board. Reestablish support for diversity and inclusion. Accelerate a minimum wage increase and build more housing to lower rent prices. That's Virginia Day 1. Your local elected officials, your government is lying to you. They could all do this. They could all give a shit about you, but they choose not to for their wallets. It's fucked up. Stop letting it happen. Do something. Build community. Organize. You don't know what to build community around? You know, libraries just have meeting rooms and you could just put an event on the calendar and sometimes people will just show up. That's why I'm hosting a seed swap. Because I figured, all right, worst case scenario, nobody knows what the heck it is. Best case scenario, I walk out with other seeds that I didn't have before. Like, go build community. Do something. Hold your elected officials accountable by, like, building your numbers behind it. If you have 2 people saying it, that's louder than 1 person saying it. Do I make myself clear, or do I need to get Hobby in here to say the same thing? I'm hungry. Man, there's so many things I want to talk about. I feel so scattered. Anyway, Zoran came in and immediately started doing awesome stuff through the mayoral power, through the governor. She had everything that she could possibly in the first, what was that? When did this post? The 18th. It's the 20th, the last 2 days. You could have better people in office if you just held them accountable. And I think what happened in America is that we got comfortable with not paying attention to politics because it didn't affect certain people, right? Like, it affected the Black community, it affected the LGBT community, it affected the immigrant communities, but it didn't affect white people, and white people have the most power and have had it the longest. And so because it didn't affect them, they didn't need to pay attention to politics. some of the states were so gerrymandered and still so gerrymandered that like even if you were in a large community of like immigrants, maybe your line was split down the middle of your like polling location and the district you were in. So like it was really hard to get people into politics that could have done something. And instead we had like a whole generation and a half of people just ignoring politics. They didn't need to. It wasn't affecting them. Their person was in charge. Reagan was great. And now we're finally coming back to we need to give a shit about politics on a larger scale. Did you color your hair? I did. Also, hi, Liz. Oh, this was the other thing I said too about the ICE going into Philly next because they haven't been able to get black votes to come outside in mass to create the optics they need to escalate things. They're just trying to keep cities until we react. Looks amazing. Thank you. And I said, IDK, why anybody would want to invade a city whose most beloved mascot is Ginger Oscar the Grouch. Low key, this is probably what my son's going to look like when he hits teenager phase. I don't know why you would mess with Philly. Like at all. How about I just open image tab? Muppet Monster. I don't even need to finish Gritty. I don't even know what picture's best. Everything about him is great. And all of these are like him. You gotta... a Muppet Monster and a Monster Muppet. This is horrifying. Gritty, save us. Oh, God. That's horrifying. Like, people love Gritty. Here, this is a compilation from 7 years ago. I told you he's been around for a while.
That is Gritty, who had quite an introduction the other night. 7 feet tall, yes. Googly eyes, they say. A squeaky belly button. Haven't been able to see that yet. And he can blow smoke out of his ears.
Got to see the squeaky belly button, and there he is. And he was giving it to some Ranger fans earlier. He gave him a popcorn bath. Gritty Fallon loves him. Look at him.
Taking to the physical play right away, as you'd always expect in Philadelphia. The Flyers mascot named Gritty, knocking people over here in Philadelphia.
Rangers up by a couple here. Gritty trying to get the team fired up.
This is hockey? Is this what they do in hockey? This looks fun. I'm getting more and more into sports as time goes on. And it's straight up because of the communities. Like, it's also because of the 3-minute ad break at the top of the hour, which is going to be every half hour because I started late. But anyway, if you don't want to see the ads, feel free to subscribe. If you don't want other people to see the ads, feel free to gift them some subbies. Anyway, back to Gritty. Eyes.
Rangers. What did Gritty say there? Yeah, see? This is what you got. You got scumbag Philly people doing scumbag things. Gritty, I knew this would get physical, bud. I knew this would get physical. I got a job to do here. Look at that. Look what Gritty did. Most disrespectful thing that's happened at Pizza Review. 4.2. Yeah, if my team stunk, I would get a sideshow named Gritty as well. 4.2. That's good.
Where's it going? This is from 7 years ago. I feel like there's been more stuff since then. God, he's horrifying. Oh, perfect. Oh my God, it's on their actual page. Do your mascots do this? No, I don't think so. What a whip. I love hockey. Alexander Hamilton. Oh.
This was supposed to be my day, and you're ruining it.
Charlie D'Amelio? Yeah, all those are really hit. That's all like that's promotional material that they film. It's wild. I love Gritty. Don't fuck with Philly. I love Gritty. I have become the biggest Eagles and Flyers fan, and Phillies, fuck it, they're all my team. See, Jersey doesn't have a team, and if we do, no one knows who they are for any sport. So we either get people either do like New York, I think like the Jets and like the Yankees, and like I don't know if they have hockey. I don't know if New York has a hockey team. And then we have Philly, which is the Philadelphia Flyers, the Philadelphia Phillies baseball team. And the Eagles. I was like, what other thing? Oh man. But I very much enjoy the Eagles. I enjoy the Eagles fans. Like I watched a 10-year-old talk about how he wants to sell, like one of the coaches should go back to burger flipping because that's about all he's good at. And I was just like, it's a 10-year-old. Restroom. So I think I'm gonna put on music. Here's some fantasy piano covers by Bits and Hits. BRB. chips and Sprite while I wait for dinner. Dinner is homemade pizza. All right, we are gonna watch the freestyle of the news now. Sorry, everybody. Luckily, I think it'll remember where we left off. I hope it does.
You know what? Sometimes I don't want to clean my desk. I'm cool with like, look, I don't care that you see the card sleeves there. That's not.
Dragon Shield. Dragon Shield spotted. I recognize this one. I think this is gold. This looks like the Navy. This is a regular deck box. But this right here is Dragon Shield. I recognize that logo anywhere.
That's not a cry for help. I have spent so much money on this set. Hey, thank you guys so much for watching Freestyle of the News. If you like what you heard, please rate that like button with 6 other cop buddies of yours like it might be holding millions of dollars in illicit money as you suddenly realize the cops around you may not be as consistent in their morals as you think. Shocker. And then as you begin counting the money, you start to realize that one of the cops may be trying to steal the money and he's actually the head of your unit and he's the best friend you rode Goodwill Hunting with. And this shit might go south. And leave a comment on your favorite bar. Listen, I watched The Rip earlier today. It was actually really, really good. If you don't know, Goodwill Hunting is my favorite written movie. And so whenever I see Ben Affleck and Matt Damon in things, I actually am really excited. It's not always perfect cinema. There's a lot of times where like their characters are like, actually, we really know best. They're like flawed people, but they're like really cool flawed people like all of the time. But if you suspend your disbelief with that, it's really, really fun. The whole cast is really, really good. The cinematography is great. It's a movie where you can turn your brain off and then turn it back on every so often. And it's just a good time. But that's neither here nor there. We are back and this is getting posted on Martin Luther King Day. Happy Martin Luther King Day to everybody. We've had a few hiccups at the start of the year. And just so everybody knows, near the end of last year, we changed a lot of our processes to make all of this more consistent. It's just our editors got sick and had crazy plans and things come up that just cratered a lot. But now everybody's back, everybody's healthy, and we're good to go. But if you haven't noticed, everything is on fire these days. So just to move things along,
I just jabbed myself in the roof of my mouth with the pointy point of a chip. Oh, man.
Let's just jump into this breakdown. And it has been a fucking completely insane start to this year. But I think the first story we have to start with right off of the bat is the escalating ICE raids in Minnesota and the nationwide backlash against ICE. As you have probably seen by just existing in this country, since the killing of Renee Good last week, ICE has began aggressively targeting Minnesotans in sweeping raids and unconscionable detentions and aggression. They have harassed and deliberately attacked U.S. citizens, students, gone door to door targeting American civilians, found people with accents and said, what the fuck, where the fuck you from? The operation is draconian and insane on so many levels. All of this pushing forward amongst the nationwide backlash to the killing, which has seen calls to abolish ICE reach a majority opinion for the first time in decades. And as images and videos of protests flood the screen from across the country, administration officials and bootlickers continue to try to downplay and gaslight people about the circumstances surrounding Renee Good's death, even as multiple other instances of violence from federal agents and ICE continue to find their way to every social media platform you can imagine. And despite the thumb that we all know is on certain platforms like X to
it's been undeniable as of late. Like absolutely undeniable. Like everywhere I go, there's people mad. And it's not just my algorithm, because like sometimes I check out, you know? I don't go on TikTok except to post. And everything I'm seeing, everybody's angry. Everyone. Like, you might not see it, but I doubt you don't see it. It would be really hard for you not to see it. My YouTube algorithm keeps updating a lot recently, and I can always tell because see what? See people angry. See people frustrated. Just got back. Oh yeah. No, you can see it all over TikTok, Twitter, Instagram. Like even on Twitch, we got regular streamers who are angry about what's going on. That's great. I mean, I'm not a regular streamer. This is what I do. I do politics, gaming, and whatever else floats my boat, but politics and history are my wheelhouse. Also, my back injury is flaring up, so I might dip in and out. No worries, Dorf. You're not obligated to be here. Your presence is appreciated. But my YouTube algorithm, I've noticed when it starts to reset, because something will happen where I'll be on my phone looking for news and stuff like that. I actually called out of work. Ooh, that is bad. Please rest. I will have certain creators that I regularly follow that like I'm subscribed to. And every once in a while I'll get videos like birds inside of a birdhouse. Movies that summaries of movies or like complete scenes from movies with an AI telling me what it is. I don't watch any AI. I try not to. Sometimes some people watch AI on my account and I don't like it. But the algorithm just gets so weird. I posted screenshots sometimes too in the Discord. Like, look at my algorithm. Why am I getting recommended this at all? And it's been resetting a lot more lately. To the point where I don't even really use YouTube anymore outside of this and to listen to music because Spotify makes you pay to listen to specific songs. Sometimes you have to block out the weird accounts, like Oracle. Yeah. I don't know. I grew up in a time when, like, blocking was considered, like, a bad thing to do. Because it, like, denied people the ability to... like, it wasn't seen as, like, a good thing. So, like, I try not to block people, but I do have to understand that, like, sometimes it changes the algorithm. Just know if you're blocked, it's because I didn't like your posts, not because I don't like you. Yeah, but fuck multi-billionaire corpse. Yeah, absolutely, 100%. Hobby just got back from the protest in at Jeff Andrews' office. He had his "It's okay to punch Nazis" sign, and he got a bunch of signatures, so that's really nice. He actually had to turn a few people away because they had already signed for the other guy. And if you have similar people sign, like if one person signs for one and one person signs the other, it voids the other person's entirely. Or it voids both of yours. Sorry. Doesn't matter who had it first. They're both voided. So, got a bunch of people to sign. We have, he's going to a board game night tonight. We're going to the DSA, the South Jersey DSA meeting in Ocean City, most likely. And I think it's the 15th of February or the 18th. One of those two. So we're going to go to that, and we're going to try to get people who live in the county to also go to that to sign. That way we can kind of have everybody meet up at once. Dorothy, you're not in District 2, are you? I don't think so. But I'm really proud of him. Really glad he went. He didn't go just because of the signature. He went because he wants to be out there. But anyway, I've noticed the algorithms are struggling to keep up with the amount of negative press going on about the administration.
Tilted to one side's political views, the backlash is actually eating into...
Should I replace my Pidgeot with Garchomp? Yes.
To a lot of the margins on Trump's coalition, to the point where you're seeing insane memes around Renee Nicole Good like this. What the fuck is this? Do any of you remember that time where Brian died on Family Guy and then they photoshopped him into a picture with Nelson Mandela, who had also died recently, and Paul Walker?
I do remember that.
This is the same level of cursed as that. But as much as people are making fun of the weird cursedness of this photo, I think it's important to analyze the fact that this meme exists at all, right? It is a position that certain people are actually coming to in their heads. And even though you and I and fucking so many other people would think this is fucking crazy, it does mean that the severity of this situation right now and this moment is bleeding through Trump's propaganda flood. You're even starting to see multiple instances of internal resistance to this, with multiple federal prosecutors resigning in the wake of being asked.
I know a lot of people say like memes depreciate the importance of a situation, but I do have to also say that sometimes comedy is the best way to educate people, and usually people will remember something when they laugh at it. You're more likely to remember a joke than you are, like, I don't know, a paper you've read.
To investigate the widow of Renee Nicole Good. Typical, let's character assassinate whoever's left or related to the victim. And from that playbook, in the vein of things like response to the George Floyd protests in 2020, you've also seen officials like Kristi Noem and others threaten to send hundreds of more agents to Minnesota, and reports of people being blinded by non-lethal rounds or violently attacked and wrestled to the ground by ICE for fucking nothing or little to nothing. And on top of that, you also have the reports that ICE has been using apps from Palantir. You know Palantir, the fucking weird billionaire hedge fund that supports Trump and harvests a ton of your data? Well, they've built tracking apps to be able to find people through their cell phone in order to detain them, which is fucking crazy. You can't complain about Big Brother for years and then just be like, you know, Big Brother sounds like a great idea. Hey, I just saw Jurassic Park in that speech about a kid wielding his dad's gun. Not only am I going to buy my child a handgun, I'm also going to purchase a dinosaur island. I'm sure this will end fucking well. Listen, the fascistic nature of all of this is on display everywhere you look, right? There's plenty of evidence, and it's generated so much panic, reasonably, and anxiety over the week amongst everybody involved.
Why did their jackets say police ice? That's a genuine question. Because, like, also, why is he wearing a keffiyeh? Is he woke?
In this moment, which is all of us. And what's making all of this even harder to parse through, and I have to mention this because it is an important factor in everything we're going through right now, is the fact that all of the political opportunists across every media platform are doing their best to actively capitalize on what is going on. It is so fucking hard to just literally be in this moment with every fucking person's commentary invading you at once, and also everybody being so fucking smug about it. All of the I told you so's from the left, the right, and the center left and the center right. Apparently everybody was correct on everything according to whatever feed you are currently watching.
Okay, all right. But real ones know I've been saying this since he said immigrants are poisoning the blood of America, okay? Not caught, not guilty.
Watching as the craziest fucking images flood your timeline. All of the pundits are apparently 100% correct with conflicting information, and fuck you for even trying to downplay what they've been through in their lived experience. They can see it with their eyes, you piece of shit gaslighter, wherever you are. And by the way, how fucking dare you try to both sides? It's not like, you know, the internet's full of assholes or anything. There are many things people try to equate with both sides of the political spectrum, but this is a problem without a specific political home. It is widespread. There are so many fucking accounts that have dialed everything to 11, right? Where
Part of me is like, oh, where's Bitter? I know he popped in here. Then I remember, oh, he is 5 hours ahead of me. Maybe I should just chill out.
isolated incidents become widespread, and where widespread incidents become suddenly rumors that somebody is lying about. And it doesn't help, and part of the reason a lot of these kind of people have been able to take over the space is because the Democrats have begun to mix their messaging completely.
Fuck you, Cory Booker. I hope my husband wins the primary and then wins the election against Jeff Andrew, so he can sit there and tell you what a farty butthead you are, Cory Booker. I fucking hate you, dude. I can't wait. I can't wait till my smarmy ass gets to see you next door to his office. And I can sit there and ask you about your fax machine. Fuck you. Okay, Cory Booker? I hope your fax machine broke and then kept printing.
Where last week Abolish ICE was growing in popularity, this week, where it is now the popular position, many Democrats are like, whoa, wait, defund ICE.
No. All right, listen, we're abolitionists, okay? In this house, we are socialist abolitionists. None of this centrist bullshit. All right, none of this, they need body cameras and more training. No, we are abolitionists in this household.
ICE. It's a weak-willed about face, and in the absence of aggressive counterpoints, you've seen the rise of conspiracies come about like, oh, fuck me. We just talked about this. We just fucking talked about this. Last year, oh my God.
Yeah, like, exactly. Trump is attacking Minnesota in hopes of, yeah, we talked about the Insurrection Act during California. Like, we've been talking about the Insurrection Act. I hate when people are like, actually, this is the first time I'm hearing about it. It's like, girl, you're feeding into the same propaganda train. Stop. He's literally saying it as it's a smoke grenade. Insurrection Act. Venezuela. Greenland. Don't look at the Epstein files. They're not over here.
Moving on, already at the start of 2026, we've seen a massive increase in the amount of tracking and surveillance a lot of companies have started to put on their users. It's become a much more serious situation at the start of this year with the kind of data these companies have been taking, as well as how that data is posted and what bad faith actors can kind of find information about you on the internet in general. And it's for this specific reason, when it comes to privacy, I want to recommend a longtime sponsor of this show, Incogni, the set it and forget it solution to data privacy. What Incogni does at its core is that it goes through and it finds all of the data that you may have handed over with or without your consent to these data broker companies. It goes through all of the loopholes and roadblocks and legalese and all of the BS it takes to get your data taken down from these companies and put back into your hand. I've had personal experience with emails and everything with a lot of data scraped that I really felt uncomfortable with, and this is why I signed up for Incogni before they were ever a sponsor of this show. I pay for Incogni out of my pocket. That's how much I believe in this service. And since using it, I have gotten far less spam calls, far less spam emails, way less of my information just leaked to the public. And I don't have that little worry I used to get every time I have to like sign up for a new account on something, because apparently everything needs an account these days. But it has been super helpful. Literally saved one of my emails from being unusable.
I'm debating making a music video again, like an animated music video. I think I might try. Don't hold me to it, but I think I might do some work.
And in terms of progress, I've been able to keep up because Incogni gives you a monthly status report of the data it's taking down. Here's Incogni when I started using it. Here's the status report now. And on top of that, you know those people finder websites you see out there? Well, with Incogni's unlimited family plan, if you end up finding your data on one of these sites, you just type your name in and you see a lot of your info up there, you can just point to it and Incogni will get somebody to get that taken down stat. And if you want to try Incogni for yourself, you can go right now to incogni.com/Tabani and enter in the code Tabani and get 60% off an Incogni plan today. Absolutely worth it for the peace of mind. So listen, if you are worried about the data that you have out there, if you want to make sure your experience on the internet is your experience and not the data brokers you interact with, and if you want to support my cool news rap commentary, whatever this show is thing, go to incogni.com/Tabani, enter in the code Tabani and get some peace of mind. All right, back to the breakdown. In the wake of all of this, the conspiracy theory going around is that Trump is going to invoke the Insurrection Act, declare martial law, and cancel the midterm elections and take full fascist control. Even as Trump floats the idea we shouldn't even have midterms, I feel like
this is what I needed to hear the other day when I was feeling a little scared. Because I was just like, I was in my feelings and in my head, I was just like, I know when Zed puts out his video, he's going to reassure me and reaffirm all the things I know. But right now the news feels a little scary and I feel overwhelmed by it. And I'm so glad he's here to remind me. This is absolutely wonderful.
Living in fucking Groundhog Day, because we literally had this same conspiracy theory happen last year with a fucking date on it, by the way, right? The same fucking thing,
420,
and it didn't happen. And it was disproven, and we're back fucking here. They said last year that Trump would cancel elections, including the one we just had in fucking November. So just to refresh everybody on this, and you can watch the video I made about it too if you need to. I'm sorry I'm so animated about this, but I had to address this multiple times while getting yelled at. The U.S. does not have martial law. The way people think of martial law, that doesn't exist in the United States. That is not how whatever mechanism that constitutes what you're thinking works in the US. Also, it doesn't make the executive branch the most powerful branch when it is invoked. It actually makes Congress the most powerful branch. It actually siphons away power from Donald Trump if it is invoked. Also, again, the federal government does not run elections. States do. However, the new wrinkle in this theory is that what if Donald Trump sends a bunch of ICE agents in to confiscate voting machines? Listen, I know
there's not enough. There's not, even if they could hack the machines, whatever you want to say, or like break into the machines and steal the votes, even though there's no like paper ballots in there. Like, there's not enough. There's not enough people in ICE. There's like, last I checked, I think it was like 56,000 ICE agents. Okay. And most of them are like in Indianapolis now or Minnesota. I know I said Indianapolis. There's just not enough. There's 33 million 330 million Americans. Okay? Assuming even half of that is voting population, right? Every single person who is able to vote does vote, right? 18 and up. You still don't have enough ICE agents, and like Trump won with 74 million votes, I think it was. Maybe 78. If he won by 78 million votes and there's like, okay, half of 300 is 150. So half of 5 is 175. So like 180. Okay, we'll just round up to 180. Don't make me do math. Don't make me bust out the calculator. I hate this. Okay. You guys can't see the calculator, and that's for a good reason. 330 million, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, divided by 2 equals, no, that was 1, divided by 2. No, that's not what I wanted. See, this is why you guys can't see the calculator. God, grimace. Oh, Oh, gritty. 3, 6. See, my keyboard is black. I can't see it. This was the worst idea for a keyboard. I was like, oh, it matches my desk. Little did I know I wouldn't be able to see it. Divided by 2 is 165,000. I was way off. Wait, what did I say? Like 180,000? Yeah, okay. So, and then we subtract 165,000 and then we subtract 165 million. Then we take 165 million and subtract, we'll say 78 million votes, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That leaves 87 million. Okay, so now we're going to take 165, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and divide that by 2. And then I go to the history and I compare the two numbers. So, yeah. Even if every single Trump voter, and assuming every single Trump voter is also an ICE agent, the number of like total people who voted in the 2024 election that Trump won by versus like total voting population assumed, right? Was 87 million. And then half of the 165 million is 82 million, which is only about 5 million less. So, assuming every single Trump voter is also an ICE agent, no, none of this makes sense. I don't even know. There's not enough people. I don't even know why I'm doing this math. There isn't. This is awful math. Don't make me do math. I do history. I do art. Okay. This brain cannot compute.
Know that Phil had mentioned this
The only time I do numbers is when it's leak speak.
last week, and I'll be very honest with you. I love Phil. Listen, I know that Phil had mentioned this last week, and I'll be very honest with you. I love Phil, but I disagree with this assertion. And I'll clarify. Look, number one, I am not saying you should not be worried about Donald Trump's free use of ICE, or not consider that he will ignore the law and just do shit anyway. Obviously, that is a worry. That's why I say I'm not just saying a piece of paper is going to stop him. Obviously, this motherfucker is going to try to do whatever he wants. But in the case of the scenario presented, there is a lot of non-compliance that can happen with people who have an incentive to not comply, like state and local officials, as well as the private companies who are fucking providing the voting machines. You know, they can lock access to those machines if they're confiscated in an event like that. Also, before anybody shouts it, despite heavy headline incidents, which everybody likes to cite, there have been multiple instances of non-compliance all over last year, which halted a lot of administration priorities, or at least slowed them down significantly. There are things that got through, there are things that didn't, and there are things that are still being litigated. If you want to effectively fight fascism, fear is not how you actually effectively fight, but we'll go over that in a minute. It doesn't motivate people in this climate. It makes them risk averse and bad at making decisions. Number two, it took a long time to get to number two. You have the National Guard, and immediately I can already hear somebody saying, well, Tim Walz took forever to activate the National Guard. He said we should just beat them at the polls. You expect them to actually move? I need you to think about this sincerely, and don't just flatten the curve and go, oh, well, that doesn't matter because no. This is incredibly important. If you are worried about Donald Trump invoking the Insurrection Act in the way you say he will, right? And instead you call to have the state activate their National Guard to directly combat and fight ICE and other federal agents. It is essentially a state actively engaging in combat with the federal government, which would constitute an open activation of the Insurrection Act. Remember what I said last week about baiting? That shit would be falling for the bait. Almost all of the directions you have seen from people.
I did not consider that. I appreciate that. I was like, why aren't they calling in the National Guard? Why aren't they protecting people? Why aren't they arresting ICE? And it's like, okay, I kind of see that point. That's valid and based. Thank you, Zed, as always. for checking me.
About what to do if you encounter an ICE agent, make you go through multiple steps, even if they just fucking ignore them. Because when you leave those trails, you are actively setting up repercussions, which have happened. Don't take the bait. Walz didn't take the bait. And although I glazed Tim Walz a lot during the election, post-election, I've been pretty fucking disappointed and frustrated with his messaging and how he's handled a lot of things since then, right? So there's no protecting him. I'm not fucking trying to be like his best buddy or anything. I just want fucking accuracy to understand strategy and how to deal with all of this. Flattening the curve to this binary decision of it is or it isn't effective strategy at fighting fascism. It's actually what fascists want you to fucking do. See every fascist or authoritarian takeover over the last fucking century. Now look, Walz did activate the National Guard and stated it was to protect local officials and emergency management agencies. It's a step in the right direction, but again, it is a very precarious situation because opportunists are waiting to push the button. There are a lot of people trying to agitate violent interactions, right? A lot of people who are infiltrating anti-ICE protests, right, in order to try to make the movement look bad by starting some shit. They've been called out repeatedly. Look, in situations like the one we are talking about around election machines being confiscated and all that, obviously in that scenario things would have to escalate in order to protect integrity, right? Okay, but listen, in this specific scenario where we are right now, if we escalate at this point, citizens and state governments do not have the resources available or the optics necessary, right?
I'm sorry, I'm very distracted. How is his Sonic keychain attached? The mic arm? It's so distracting. Like, I'm just like, there's no tape there. Is there a magnet? I don't see a magnet. It's all smooth around the sides. Well, it's not looped around. Maybe there's a string. I don't see a string bumped out on there. Like, how? I need to know your secrets.
If Trumpists got what they wanted and a giant fucking violent fight broke out, again, in multiple authoritarian takeovers, this has been the playbook: to provoke a response and use that as an excuse to grow more violent and more repressive. My family is largely from the Middle East. Habibi, we know this game. But look, I cannot stress enough that these conspiracy theories about ending midterm elections or martial law and the way they're presented to you are untrue, right? And when any little bit people can spin or grasp onto appears, right, they will say that everything is suddenly true and freak you out more. It's not always to try to get your money and shit like that. It's because some people are genuinely anxious and want to protect against it. But again, that's the fucking game. You're getting baited. I'm not trying to tell you to be complacent. What is true and is scary is Donald Trump's use and real pressure with ICE, crossing increasing lines, hoping to intimidate people and spark a response before the incentives backfire on him. And there are a couple things that I do want to say in this situation, more than I've already said. Number one, I've done like a lot of number ones. I'm sorry, I just keep breaking things down like that. I try to do A. Okay, A, number A. All of the lines that are being crossed to detain U.S. citizens, right? For most U.S. civilians, the story does not end there. There have been ramifications, like I've said multiple times already in the show, that come down the road, and that's what we saw a lot of last year. Remember what I told you the game was? Friday there's a headline: Donald Trump would deliberately and aggressively cross a line or break a law he wasn't supposed to, and then weeks later he would get reined in or chicken the fuck out, but that would be superseded by another crazy headline thing he did to distract you from the pushback.
And always on a weekend.
Don't believe me? I have a personal example. I think I mentioned it last week. I have a friend, I've said before, whose father was picked up during his citizenship ceremony. And despite harassment and all the other bullshit he had to go through, he is fighting it, and he does have a pretty fucking solid case. But again, the problem is not that he has a solid case or not, or that he can win against ICE. The problem is a lot of people don't have the funds or the resources to deal with it. That's what they're banking on. But this kind of aggressive action is also what happened during the George Floyd protests. It was meant for intimidation, right? Okay, it was aggressive action by, you know, National Guard or Trump agents, right, to try to shut people the fuck up. It didn't work. People saw through it. I'm telling you, this is not the first time the US government has tried to exert power like this. This is not the first time federal agents have hurt civilians. Kent State, by the way. Fucking awful. This isn't even the first time we've had surveillance. You know the time period I keep comparing this shit to, but I can't say because I have to put another dollar in the fucking jar? People who look like me were fucking surveilled by the FBI all of the time and detained and sent to Guantanamo Bay on fucking flimsy ass charges. The Patriot Act and mass surveillance was a huge fucking thing in the mid 2000s. It was actually one of George Bush's biggest scandals, and that included weaponizing the IRS against the NAACP. This is not the first time all of that has happened, and this is not the first time that there will be consequences long term, right? But long term and down the line isn't gonna help relieve your anxiety. What can you do now? That's another thing about this noise, is that there's all of these people trying to tell you what valid activism is or isn't, or if you're really a part of the movement or not. I'll make this simpler for you, right? It's not about just going to a protest or buying a handgun, which, okay, listen, I'm just gonna let you know, I understand the impetus of telling people to all arm themselves and everything like that, but think a little bit about the mental health and the spectrum of mental health that exists when you're aggressively telling people you're an idiot if you don't arm yourself. Not everybody is in the space to buy a handgun. Saying that again, it's important to understand that. But I'll give you a much more engaged answer that can hopefully help you out, right? I want you to write out all of your strengths that you have. All of the advantages that you have. Everybody has some sort of advantage, even if, you know, they're kind of fucked in a lot of ways. Is it time? Is it connections? Is it resources? Are you hot? Can you bench 235 pounds? If you can you teach me how? It's fucking hard, dude. I've been trying to build muscle for a long time. You know, it's just time and consistency. I get it. Look, write out what you have and what your actual skill sets are, what you're really fucking good at, and leverage those towards what you can do to help. There are a lot of different things. Not everybody needs to go to the street and protest because they don't have time, or they don't have the ability to do so, or they are a person of color and they're worried about being targeted. There's so many different things, though, you can do around there, like community organizing, helping people who are going through this, raising money for people who are in detentions to try to get them legal representation. And I'll give you an example. I had a friend reach out to me asking if joining the Black Panthers after they saw a video was a good idea, which I said, I think you're an amazing person, but with all due respect, you are not black, nor do you have any prior association to the Black Panthers or deep understanding of their organization.
That's fair.
Any of those would work. You have to understand what their organization is at a deeper level. I get you want to help, but that's probably not the lane.
Yeah, Hobby wanted to reach out to them just to try to build like coalition, not to like advertise. And I kind of worried about the optics of that, but I did what he asked. Because that's what he wanted to do. He wants to build coalition and community.
You're supposed to be in. Unless you're really passionate about it, then yeah, go see if it's a fit. But don't just do something because you think, oh, it'll be the magic bullet that saves everything. No, do something because you think it's effective. Everybody has their own lane. My lane is content creator, and I do organize and contribute resources in other ways as well. I just don't fucking broadcast it all the time because I hate performative activism, but I do try, you know, to do things that are the most effective for me to move the needle forward. Where is my time best spent? How can I reach the most people? Am I better at giving specific?
That's why I'm organizing the seat swap, so I can use my like great personality, charming personality, to win people over and build community And then also that's why I'm a content creator. I like to educate people and to teach them and to show them like, hey, it's okay that you have your thoughts, but have you considered socialism?
Fix for you, the method is going to be different. For you, the group is going to be different. But the impetus is this: know your rights against ICE, effectively signal your distrust, and showcase how fucking terrible they are. Protect and support people who need it, including people who get caught and need GoFundMes and legal assistance. And don't take the bait. Again, I have been through all of this shit. We've all been through all of this shit. You may be too young to remember, but it happened. It doesn't mean be complacent or beat them at the polls. That's all you gotta do. It just means be smart about your strategy. If Donald Trump is wasting his soft power to strengthen his enforcement, then don't try to bully this strong target. Bully the soft one. You'd be surprised at how many people agree with you. Let me know what you think in the comments. And just to clarify for YouTube, I'm not advocating for violence or harm at any of these protests. I'm advocating for civil disobedience, which has been a pastime in this country for the last, 100 years or more. But you get what I mean. And that's our show. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, check out Go for Lethal. We'll be back next week with more content.
A lot. All right. Oh man. How did I start? Oh, at almost 2 hours. Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay. And there's also a Philip DeFranco, so we're just going to jump into that. I hope that's okay with you guys, because I've been yapping about so much. I do want to see if there's any more protest footage going out. I know some people have been live streaming it, but sometimes I don't see those pop up till like way later. No, not movies and TV. Gosh darn it. No. Hello? Okay, there we go. Bassett urges Europe to stay calm. Buddy? Buddy, I think staying calm is a little too late, okay? One of you needed to be the adult in the room, and none of you decided to do it. Wait, I forget what I originally... Oh, for the live streams of the protest. I know Maine is organizing. I know Philly has been given the heads up for months. Oh, good. Here's any protests from today? Wait, are they getting divorced? Oh, they're pregnant? Oh my god. The white supremacists are not gonna like that. Oh my god. It's Connor eats pants. That's why why JD Vance logged off for 2 days. Connor was becoming a stepdad. I need to stop. Oh, there's the stock market. That's what I wanted to... Remember back in
It's
like
unnecessary. It's
2024 when I was on the campaign trail and Trump was like, my favorite word in the dictionary is tariff, tariff, tariff. It's such a beautiful word. When he was doing that, and I was like, guys, I'm pretty sure tariffs are the reason that we fought the Revolutionary War, you know, outside of like the oppression and the quartering of soldiers and the bullshit laws and the tax, but the taxation of without representation was the tariffs. Everybody forgets that. And it made me so angry. We talked about this in 2024. We knew 3 things going into Trump's term in terms of tariffs from this community. We knew 1, that tariffs were the reason, one of the major reasons we went to war with the British. We knew 2, one of the worst economic crashes in American history happened because of tariffs. I'm talking about the one in like 1890. Then another tariff made things even worse during the next economic catastrophe of the United States. Yeah, the Smoot-Hawley tariffs. Okay? Three things. We knew that. And I pointed out so many times that like this tariff thing is not going to be good. Everybody's going to think, but they don't realize that a tariff is a tax on the person buying the good, not the importing the good, not the, well, the tariff is a tax on the imported good that the importer pays, not the person importing the good. So like China imports a toy here. We pay the tariff on the toy because we ordered that toy into the country from China versus doing like local and American made. The problem is that what Trump should have done was start having, oh, see, he wouldn't want government involved. I was going to say, start building like government buildings, right? To make like, build the factories, right? Hire construction workers to build the factories. Build the factories, people start working in them, right? And that's how you can start like doing stuff. But the problem is he didn't give anybody jobs, because why would he give the poor's jobs? You know, when they could be doing what they're already doing and making everybody else money. So if he built the factories and then decided to do tariffs, that would probably not be the worst. It certainly wouldn't be good. It just wouldn't be as bad as it is now. It's hate it. I hate it. I hate being cursed with this knowledge. It's like witnessing the fall of Rome from the fall of Troy from the perspective of Cassandra. Like I'm just sitting here blinking and watching like Troy burn, and I open my eyes and it's like, oh my God, I've seen this before. Real Greek heads know Cassandra.
The Western Hemisphere is vital for the United States of America. When America shines, the world shines, because they all need to make sure America is strong and powerful to take care of them. God forbid.
It's hard to.
You know what else is hard to imagine? The fact that it's now the top of the half-hour ad break. If you don't want to see the ads, feel free to subscribe. If you don't want other people to see the ads, feel free to give them a sub. You can also do other stuff, but that's how you avoid the ads. And yeah, it's at every half hour today because I started at a different time. So buckle up.
Ignore how quiet the room got, Ashley, the looks on the faces of the people on stage. Is that a preview of what the president will be facing tomorrow for his speech? And what do you make of what Lutnick said? He's going to be there?
Well, again, I would go back to that Bannon quote you read, and there was another part of it, which I understand why you didn't read on air, but he basically said something very colorful about what the president is doing to the Overton window, which is essentially shattering it. And so I think what we are seeing here, and what the president should be expected to face at Davos, and what world leaders are bracing for, is a president who strategically, although it's less a strategy and more of a raw, visceral gut instinct, starts with steps that most people, especially who are not following the news closely, can agree with. So when he violates a norm, or a constitutional right or international law, he often starts with some of the more unsavory characters who people don't really want to defend. Is due process a right? Absolutely. But how many people want to stand up and fight vigorously for due process for, someone Trump says is here illegally, is a gang member, is a criminal, and may have committed an abhorrent crime? And from that place, and again, this applies to the global stage, he starts there and slowly moves further and further past previous breaking points, past what people previously thought was acceptable, until we find him talking quite seriously about wanting to take control of Greenland, potentially by force.
So, Jeffrey, overnight, Trump posted what appeared to be 2 private messages, one from French President Macron, in which he says he doesn't understand what Trump is doing. Another from the head of NATO, Mark Rutte, saying
he screenshotted the text and post them? It's fucking rude, man.
He's committed to finding a way forward on the issue. To what extent is the history of foreign policy and the way the U.S. practices it being rewritten publicly in real time?
It's really quite
Wait,
astounding.
what did those texts say?
Being is the history of foreign policy and the way the
Oh, wait, I should just get roll call. If he posted it, it's going to be on roll call. Oh, he's been posting a lot today. Oh, he was even in a press conference today. How did he post this much? Oh, God, this is still from today. Oh, God. Mr. President, dear Donald, what you accomplished in Syria today is incredible. I will use my media engagements in Davos to highlight your work there in Gaza and in Ukraine. I am committing to finding a way forward on Greenland. I can't wait to see you. Yours, Mark. Who's Mark Rutte? Secretary General of NATO? Oh my God. Where's the one? Oh my God. What a messy bitch. This is this is gay burnout, right? Great. This is like the end of a queen's life right here. This is when you're just severing all ties. French President Macron to President Trump. My friend, we are totally in line on Syria. We can do great things on Iran. I do not understand what you are doing on Greenland. Let us try to build great things. One, I can set up a G7 meeting after Davos in Paris on Thursday afternoon. I can invite the Ukrainians and the Danish and the Syrians and the Russians in the margins. Let us have a dinner together in Paris together on Thursday. Oh my goodness. When did he start? Oh God. Okay, so he stopped at 6 p.m. last night. He started at midnight. Okay, what's the time between midnight? Oh my God, there was a minute between these two. He's so messy. He is so messy. I had a very good telephone call with Mark Rutte, the Secretary General of NATO, concerning Greenland. I am agreeing to a meeting on various parties in Davos, Switzerland. As I expressed to everyone very plainly, Greenland is imperative for national and world security. There can be no going back, only that everyone agrees. The United States of America is the most powerful country everywhere on the globe by far. See, this is how I know it's him. Country is capitalized in the middle of a sentence, even though it's part of the sentence. Like, you wouldn't capitalize country here if you were saying the country of, or like I don't know. Maybe I'm explaining grammar wrong. I wouldn't be surprised. Anywhere in the and the globe too. I don't feel like globe should be capitalized. By far, much of the reason for this is rebuilding of our military during my first term, which rebuilding continues at even more expedited rate or pace. Sorry, we are the only power that can ensure peace throughout the world, and it's done quite simply through strength. Oh, peace through strength. Look at that. Wow, haven't I heard that quote somewhere before? And then he posts Marquand's tweets. And then he posted an image of the Canada and the United States all together. Canada get nukes. Now he's posting AI pictures of him taking Greenland. Uh Okay. Just watch footage of the church raid in Minnesota by agitators and insurrectionists. Yeah, somebody went in there and was like, hey, this guy, the pastor here, works for ICE. And everybody was like, that's fucked up. And then they started getting really upset and left. These people are professionals. No person acts that way. Wait. No person acts the way they act. They are highly trained to scream, rant, and rave like lunatics in a certain manner, just like they are doing. They are troublemakers who should be thrown in jail or out of the country. The first to go should be Walls and fake sleazebag Ilhan Omar, who is supposedly worth over $30 million, even though she has never had anything but a government job. Investigate these corrupt politicians. Do it now. Shockingly, our brilliant NATO ally, the United Kingdom, is currently planning to give away the island of Diego Gracio, the site of the vital U.S. military base, to Moriartis, and to do so for no reason whatsoever. Wait a minute. Britain was still colonizing somewhere, and they were like, hey, we're going to give this back. And America's like, no. What? What? For no reason whatsoever. There is no doubt that China and Russia have noticed this act of total weakness. I don't think they care. I think they're doing their own thing, and they're just letting you fucking wreck the world right now. These are international powers who only recognize strength, which is why the United States of America, under my leadership, is now, after only 1 year, respected like never before. The UK giving away extremely important land is an act of great stupidity, and is another in a very long line of national security reasons why Greenland has to be acquired. Denmark and its European allies have to do the right thing. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. Do you think he puts that at the end of his tweets to symbolize, like, this is my job? This is me as the president saying this, because he knows if he gets out and he gets in trouble, they're going to be like, oh, this wasn't official work because you say, thank you for your attention to this matter, Donald J. Trump, versus just tweeting a plain thing like this. Like, would this be considered an official act? Because it doesn't say, thank you for this attention to this matter, Donald J. Trump. Like, is that... Any lawyers watching? I don't care about the retweets. Wait, how... Hold on. What I do care about is how late he was posting. Like, when did he stop? So this was at 1:30 a.m., 1:50 a.m., and then 10 a.m. So he went to sleep at like 2 a.m. Or they took his phone away at 2 a.m. They were like, you have to stop. And then 11 a.m. today, almost 12 hours later, not even. Department of Homeland Security and ICE must start talking about the murderers and other criminals that they are capturing and taking out of the system. They're saving money of many innocent lives. There are thousands of vicious animals in Minnesota alone, which is why the crime stats are nationwide the best ever recorded. There are thousands of vicious animals in Minnesota alone, which is why the crime stats nationwide are the best ever recorded. Did somebody run that by him? There are thousands. So, okay, the reason this bothers me is because there are thousands of vicious animals alone implies that we need to get these people off the streets. Those awful, awful people. And then says, which is why the crime stats are nationwide the best ever recorded, which implies that the crime stats are good. But when you put these two together, it almost sounds like he's saying, because these animals are loose, our crime stats are the best ever. Like, that's how that sentence reads. Show the numbers, names, faces of the violent criminals and show them now. The people will start supporting the Patriots of ICE instead of the highly paid troublemakers, anarchists, and agitators. Make America great again. Yeah, that also doesn't have his thank you for your attention to this matter. Harry Enton. Oh my God. Yeah, he retweeted the same thing. At 11:43, the whole problem we are having with criminals in our country was caused by sleepy Joe Biden and the radical left thugs surrounded the resolution desk in the Oval Office. Boy, I wish there were some radical lefts in there. And of course, the illegal use of the auto pen. They should be in jail. No single person or president has done more for NATO than President Donald J. Trump. If I didn't come along, there would be no NATO right now. It would have been in the ash heap of history. Sad, but true. Okay. That was at 11 a.m. Has he not tweeted since then? Man, I can't believe this guy's our president. We didn't even get to Phil. I'm like trying not to feel like I'm doing like this. Trying to look smack. Viewing. Oh. Ah, boo, ad blogger. Whatever. Again.
Can we just get one normal day? Also, hi, welcome back to the Philip DeFranco Show, you daily dive into the news.
No, Phil, we don't get any more normal days. There is no return to normalcy until the fascist dictatorship is overthrown.
It's Tuesday. I hope you're having a good one. But y'all, 2 years ago, the Canadian government was preparing for the United States to devolve into a civil war. And now they're preparing for a war, not inside of the United States, but between the United States and Canada itself. Right? And we're learning that thanks to the Globe and Mail, which reports that for the first time.
No, we're headed for fallout. No, the annexation of Canada is like one of the first steps. Then like a plague. And then like gas going through the roof. And then the US dollar dropping in dramatic value. And then war with China.
In a century, the Canadian Armed Forces have modeled a hypothetical US military invasion of Canada and the country's potential response. And that includes tactics similar to those employed against Russia and later US-led forces in Afghanistan. And, the outlet sources and other experts saying, in actual war, it's unlikely. This is just a theoretical model. It's not an actionable war plan. But they also rightly raise questions about what this signals for the stability of the international order. Because this is a lot we've got to dive into, break down. It goes past Canada. I mean, from Trump's ranting on Truth Social to the insane backlash at this week's summit of global elites at Davos. Where we should start is with Donald Trump continuing his apparent descent into madness since we talked about it yesterday. Right, the lead-in to today was
it's
him.
Fucking Caligula at the helm right now. Not even Nero. At least Nero could play an instrument.
To tariff Europe unless he just gets to take Greenland, as well as him texting Norway's prime minister that he no longer feels an obligation to think purely of peace after they didn't give him the Nobel Peace Prize. To which Norway's PM was like, okay, hear you, but again.
Oh, Charlie, how do you know so much about the Roman Empire if... well, history. I said history is my Roman Empire. US history, though.
Just repeating myself, That is an independent committee that awards the prize, not us. So when Donald Trump said that is just not true, with him saying in a phone call to NBC News, Norway totally controls it despite what they say. And then adding, they like to say they have nothing to do with it, but they have everything to do with it. And then they asked him, arguably this is more important, if he'd use force to seize Greenland. He said no comment. Though he then later posted on Truth Social an AI-generated photo of himself planting the American flag in Greenland soil, as well as another of himself in the Oval Office lecturing European leaders while pointing to a map of Greenland, Canada, and Venezuela covered in the American flag. Also, after that, he blasted what he called an act of total weakness, an act of great stupidity, and another in a very long line of national security reasons why Greenland has to be acquired. And as far as what that was, right, you're saying, Phil, what is it? Did Greenland cut down the number of dog sleds defending it against China from 2 to 1? Well, no, it turns out that Trump was really upset about Britain's plan to hand sovereignty over to the Chagos Islands, where a joint British-US military base is located, to Mauritius. Now, why? Even if we grant Trump's premise, the loss of control over one
I think Americans need to remember that Canada is why we have the Geneva Convention rules. Yeah, I think Americans need to remember that Canada was always like first to jump into the battle, so much so that Americans actually left America to go fight for Canada. Like, Canada is always there. Canada's a solid. Those lumberjacks are built different. Lumberjack daddy, ooh.
base in the Indian Ocean would require him to acquire control of another in the Arctic is unclear. But in actuality, of course, neither the US nor Britain are giving up control over the base. And when the plan was finalized last May, Trump's own White House said it secures the long-term, stable, and effective operation of the joint US-UK military facility there. It's seemingly just on a dime, Trump's now reversed from that to sarcastically calling the UK brilliant and scare quotes and claiming that they're doing this for no reason whatsoever. Of course, that too isn't right, because British leaders say that they're giving the island to Mauritius to avoid legal issues after the United Nations and International Court of Justice urged it to do so. Though Trump, of course, has never been one to respect the UN or international.
Yeah, they're trying to decolonize, and meanwhile, we're trying to do imperialism. God damn it.
Court. So in his post, he said that China and Russia only recognize strength, which is why the United States of America, under my leadership, is now, after only 1 year, respected like never before. So then also, if that's true, then it's strange that his proposal to create a board of peace has been met with such a lukewarm response. And actually with that, last night, when asked about reports that Emmanuel Macron doesn't want to join his new pet project, you had Trump saying,
well, nobody wants him because he's going to be out of office very soon. So, you know, that's all right. What I'll do is if they feel like Costo, I'll put a 200% tariff on his wines and champagnes, and he'll join.
And then, like that friend you can't trust, just a few hours later, he got on Truth Social and posted screenshots of an apparently private text message from the French president with Macron's text reading. My friend, we are totally in line on Syria. We can do great things on Iran. I do not understand what you are doing on Greenland. Right, and Trump, he just...
You can tell he cropped that, or he had someone who could see only crop the bottom because of the way it's cut.
Kept going, also posting screenshots of a message from the Secretary General of NATO that reads, Mr. President, dear Donald, what you accomplished in Syria today is incredible. I will use my media engagements in Davos to highlight your work there in Gaza and in Ukraine. I am committed to finding a way forward on Greenland. Can't wait to see you. So yeah, just one part of that is I guess world leaders now have to expect that Trump might just leak their DMs on his own personal social media platform. You know, even if they've been trying to be relatively cordial with him in private, they have become increasingly frank about what's happening in public. So for example, you know, you have European leaders speaking at the World Economic Forum in Davos this week, and while Trump hasn't arrived yet, he's clearly the elephant in the room.
We are in the midst of a rupture, not a transition.
Or that's Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney, who says the rule-based international order set up after World War II and maintained by American hegemony ever since, it's now falling apart.
Great powers have begun using economic integration as weapons. Tariffs as leverage, financial infrastructure as coercion, supply chains as vulnerabilities to be exploited. When the rules no longer protect you, you must protect yourself. But let's be clear.
Get nukes. Everybody get nukes. If you don't have nukes, get nukes. If you don't have nukes, get nukes. If they accuse you of having nukes, don't get rid of the nukes. I forget it. Damn. It's like a little like diagram. It's like, get nukes. If you don't have nukes, get nukes. If they accuse you of having nukes, don't give the nukes up. And then there's like one other one. Forget it.
About where this leads. A world of fortresses will be poorer, more fragile, and less sustainable.
Carney also saying he strongly opposes Trump's tariffs over Greenland and adding that like-minded democracies need to band together so they don't have to choose between the lesser of evils. And he's not alone. You also had Macron kicking off his speech by seemingly mocking Trump.
And it's a time of peace, stability, and predictability.
And then, even when he got serious, it looked like he still couldn't help throwing in another jab at Donald.
More than 60 wars in 2024, an absolute record, even if I understood a few of them were fixed.
With Macron also saying that Europe needs to protect its own industries against unfair.
I didn't realize that was a political roast. I thought it was supposed to be like a meeting of the minds of the leaders. Instead, Macron whipped out the roast, the Jeff Dunham roast.
Trade practices from the US and China, including by considering the so-called trade bazooka against American tech companies. And as for China in particular, although he lamented the trade deficit there, he wants more investment from it in Europe.
China is welcome, but what we need is more Chinese foreign direct investment in Europe in some key sectors to contribute to our growth, to transfer some technologies.
Why does he look like he's Skyped in there? He's like, he stands off so far from I don't know, like the way his suit is going against the blue of the screen, it's freaking me out. It makes it look like he's cropped in there.
And not just to export towards Europe some devices or producers or products which sometimes don't have the same standards or are much more subsidized as the one being produced in Europe.
And then I'll note there's one last moment where he seems to call out Trump again.
We do believe that we need more growth, we need more stability in this world, but we do prefer respect to bullies, we do prefer science to plotism, and we do prefer rule of law to brutality.
But also, while we're seeing people sounding off there in the Swiss Alps, we're also hearing more anti-American sentiment from the Vatican, with Pope Leo giving a State of the World speech this month at the Holy See and referring to Trump in all but name.
War is back in vogue, and the zeal for war is spreading. Peace is no longer sought as a gift and a desirable good in itself. Instead, peace is sought through weapons as a condition for asserting one's own dominion.
And so now the three highest-ranking Catholic archbishops in the United States, they released a joint statement measuring Trump's foreign policy against the standard set by Pope Leo. And with that, you had them pointing to events in Venezuela, Ukraine, and Greenland and saying, in 2026, the United States has entered into the most profound and searing debate about the moral foundation for America's actions in the world since the end of the Cold War, adding that a war shouldn't be used for the aggrandizement of a particular country's wealth and humanitarian assistance is the obligation of every nation. Whereas Trump, by contrast, has gutted USAID, a move that, according to one estimate, could result in millions more deaths globally, as well as moves like openly embracing a policy of war for treasure, aiming to conquer Venezuela's oil, bidding for Greenland's minerals, and trying to extort resources from Ukraine. But Christian Americans, they're not just resisting Trump's foreign policy, they're also divided over his actions on immigration and the question of whether a church is an appropriate or even legal venue for protesting. Right in that, because on Sunday you had roughly 24 protesters interrupting a church service in St. Paul.
Renee good! Renee good! Renee good!
And you had them going to this church because they had found out that one of the pastors is also the acting director of the city's ICE field office for enforcement and removal operations, or with them actually being named in a lawsuit accusing ICE and its employees of having, quote, acted to suppress this dissent by abducting United States citizens and holding them incommunicado for hours like the mass secret police of pre-World War II Germany or Pinochet's Chile. And then with that saying they have pepper sprayed, violently subdued, and aimed assault rifles at protesters and observers, and even followed observers home to scare them in a tactic lifted straight from the mafia. Now, with all that, it's not clear whether this pastor was present during the protest on Sunday, but you did have journalist Don Lemon there covering the event and speaking to people on both sides, which actually included the pastor who was apparently leading the service at the time, and he said,
I mean, this is unacceptable. It's shameful. It's shameful to interrupt a public gathering of Christians in worship.
You've also now had Trump claiming that these protesters were professionals who have been highly trained to scream, rant, and rave like lunatics in a certain manner, just like they are doing, and adding they are troublemakers who should be thrown in jail or thrown out of the country. And then actually, perhaps most notably, you had AG Pam Bondi claiming that, quote, attacks against law enforcement and the intimidation of Christians are being met with the full force of federal law. And you had Harmeet Dillon, the Assistant Attorney General for Civil Rights, confirming that her division is investigating. And accusing protesters of desecrating a house of worship and interfering with Christian worshipers. Right, and then with all this, what you're seeing is that she and other officials are pointing to a 1994 law known as the FACE Act, or the Freedom of Access to Clinic Entrances and Places of Religious Worship, which was actually passed largely in response to a sharp rise in violence and other tactics meant to intimidate abortion providers and patients and physically block access, making it a federal crime to use force, threat of force, or physical obstruction to interfere with someone obtaining or providing reproductive health care. But the law also applied to places of worship, and so now it could possibly be relevant to this case. Though I'll say a big thing is that the law clearly says it should not be construed to prohibit any expressive conduct, including peaceful picketing or other peaceful demonstration protected from legal prohibition by the First Amendment to the Constitution. And so that's why you're seeing people like a professor of constitutional law at Georgetown University explaining, if they are merely expressing their views without obstructing access to the church, the First Amendment would protect them just as it protects those who protest outside abortion clinics without obstructing access or intimidating patients. But if they engaged in physical obstruction, the First Amendment does not protect that. But here, with that, what I'll add is that if the FACE Act does not work, Dylan also mentioned the possibility of invoking the Enforcement Act of 1871. And that is actually known as the Ku Klux Klan Act, and it was meant to protect Black Americans from white supremacist violence, although again, it is far from clear whether that legal argument's actually going to hold up in court. Though if you only based it off of the way that Dylan has presented it, it's an open and shut case, even while her investigation is supposedly ongoing. She even suggested that Don Lemon might be prosecuted as well, despite being there to cover the event as a journalist, saying in an interview with far-right influencer Benny Johnson.
Don Lemon himself has come out and said he knew exactly what was going to happen inside that facility. He went into the facility and then he began, quote unquote, committing journalism. And as if that's sort of a shield from being an embedded part of a criminal conspiracy.
The
It isn't.
media.
Come next Sunday, nobody should think in the United States that they're going to be able to get away with this. Everyone in the protest community needs to know that the fullest force of the federal government is going to come down and prevent this from happening and put people away.
Do you think Benny Johnson's actually shitting himself right there? Or do you think he just is making the face of someone who's trying to shit? Like, I can't believe you hear that and you go, yeah, based. Based, bro, based.
For a long, long time.
But very notably, with all that, you had Lemon claiming clearly several times in his live stream that he didn't see himself as a participant.
We're not part of the activists, but we're here just reporting on them. But anyways, I'm not going to get in the middle of it because I'm not here as an activist. I'm here as a journalist. I'm just going to be as respectful as possible. I'm not here to intimidate anybody.
Yeah, nobody looks, they don't look blocked in. The doorway's open. There's room on the sides. People are able to get down the aisles and remove themselves. Beautiful inside of the church. So I don't know. I don't know.
Just here to chronicle and to get some answers and let people know.
And now you've got Lemon saying in an email to NBC News that it's notable that I've been cast as the face of a protest I was covering as a journalist, especially since I wasn't the only reporter there, and adding, the framing is telling, but what's even more telling is the barrage of violent threats along with homophobic and racist slurs directed at me online by MAGA supporters and amplified by parts of the right-wing press. And actually, among those responses, you had rapper Nicki Minaj. You had her launching a homophobic attack against him, saying, I want that thug in jail, lock him up. Though to that, you had Lemon clapping back, saying she should get a life, stop being a pick-me, and then saying you have one family member who is a sex offender, the other family member is reportedly a pedophile. You have the nerve to talk about me? Because if you didn't know, Minaj's husband is actually a registered sex offender, and her brother, he actually got sentenced back in 2020 for raping an 11-year-old
Look at
girl.
this
You know,
guy.
with this whole
Your
situation,
underscore pal
you had the
underscore
Trump
blue
administration framing
69
this
wants to
protest
know
as
what
an
you're
attack
wearing.
on
Oh,
Christians.
geez. You want to know what I'm wearing? Okay, hold on. I'll pull. All right. Got okay, we got fitted tee. Got the black skin. Got the yeah, see? Got my husband's former game star Fauna hoodies. I have like a stack of them that I still rotate. Got like buttons. Cute, but it's also like not practical for the bathroom, like at all. Also, the other thing I like about these pants, pockets are they're really deep front, but not like so. That's the fit. Thank you for coming to my checking out. Sick fit. Sick fit, bro. Now watch me do this kickflip. Now watch this drive. Where was I?
At least some of the protesters, they identified themselves as Christians themselves, right? And that includes one of the organizers, a civil rights lawyer who also says that she's an ordained reverend, right? And so with that, she claimed that she wanted to make members of the church aware that one of their pastors was involved in Trump's immigration crackdown, saying to have someone in the role of a pastor also being in that role as an overseer is unconscionable. And then adding that Jesus called out religious leaders for their hypocrisy and argued that that's part of our duty as Christians. And really, the example is showing why a Christian may have a problem with ICE. They just keep piling up, especially in Minnesota, where with one of the latest incidents sparking outrage allegedly involving federal agents forcing open a door and detaining a U.S. citizen at his home at gunpoint without a warrant, with them then leading him out onto the streets in his underwear in sub-freezing conditions before then loading him into a car, driving him away, and then making him get out again so they could take a picture. And then, when the agents eventually realized that he was a U.S. citizen with no criminal record, they drove him back home, allegedly leaving without apologizing for detaining him or breaking his door. Though with this, you had DHS defending itself by describing what happened as a targeted operation seeking 2 convicted sex offenders that the agency claimed lived with a man, which is also a claim that the family is disputed. We wait to see what happens here if more information comes out. While this man did make it home, many others haven't, right? And while a lot of what we're talking about, it's what we're seeing as agents are being recorded out in the open, but there are also grave concerns about what's happening behind closed doors, especially because more people are dying in ICE custody than almost ever before. Just recently, ICE revealed that an immigrant from Nicaragua was found dead at a Texas immigration detention facility last week, with the agency claiming that he appears to have killed himself. And notably, this is the same facility where ICE said someone else died on January 3rd after attempting to take his own life, a man by the name of Geraldo Lunas Campos. But you see, one of the big problems there is that there was another detainee who claims that he saw at least 5 guards struggling with Lunas Campos, who was complaining that he didn't have his medication and who was then choked to death while repeatedly saying, "I can't breathe," in Spanish. And with that, you've had an employee of the county's medical examiner's office backing that up by telling Lunas Campos's daughter that the preliminary cause of death has been listed as asphyxiation due to neck and chest compression. And so that office is likely to classify the incident as a homicide pending the results of a toxicology report. And all of this is ICE's initial statement gave no cause of death, claiming that Lunas Campos became disruptive while in line for his medication and was then placed in segregation where staff observed him in distress. Or with a DHS spokesperson later claiming that he violently resisted the staff and continued to attempt to take his life, and that during the ensuing struggle, he stopped breathing and lost consciousness. But then also, curiously, the administration has reportedly made moves to try and quickly deport 2 detainees who gave differing accounts of what happened to the Washington Post. And while you had their spokesperson declining to say whether the effort had anything to do with what happened, legal experts say that, deporting them, it would make it difficult for investigators to obtain and verify their accounts. And then also with this, it appeared that ICE was maybe going for kind of an angle of, well, it wasn't one of the good ones. Or with ICE emphasizing that Lunas Campos was convicted of several crimes, including aggravated assault with a weapon and first-degree sexual abuse involving a child. Well, that then brings us to another part of the whole situation of who they're putting in detention centers and who they're getting rid of. Because while in the past you had Trump repeatedly saying we have to go after the violent criminals, available data actually suggests that most immigrants in ICE detention, they have no criminal record. All the while they then may face the substandard conditions and physical and sexual abuse that has been reported at facilities all across the country, but also especially in this one in Texas. Hell, even ICE's own inspectors have cited dozens of violations. Right? And with that, deaths nationwide have occurred with shocking frequency. At least 30 detainees died in 2025, the highest annual total in more than 20 years, back to the first full year of ICE's existence. And now this year, on top of the 2 who have died at this place in Texas, there have been at least 3 other deaths, putting the country on track to absolutely shatter the record. And then there's more we're gonna dive into in just a minute, but first let me say, there's that moment in adulthood where you realize, yeah, I actually have to schedule my own doctor now. Nobody's gonna do it.
Yeah, that's fucking
Especially
awful.
as you get older, right? Every weird ache starts
I
feeling
hate
like a
this.
personality trait instead of a coincidence. And that's why today's sponsor, ZocDoc, is genuinely clutch. Right? ZocDoc is a free app and website that helps you find and book high-quality in-network doctors so you can find find someone you love. Primary care, dentists, dermatologists, eye doctors, therapists, over 200 specialties
Tickle
all in one
reacts.
place. You can also filter by insurance, location, speciality, appointment type, in person, right, or video visit. And you also get access to verified patient reviews, so you can actually choose a doctor that fits your vibe instead of rolling the dice. And actually, the best part, you can see real-time availability and book instantly. No calling offices, no, we'll call you back sometime between now and 2027. Appointments booked through ZocDoc, they usually happen within 24 to 72 hours. You can sometimes even get same-day slots. And I've used ZocDoc myself. I've booked an appointment during lunch faster than I could decide what to eat. So hey, stop putting off those doctor's appointments. Just scan that QR code or go to ZocDoc.com/Phil to find and instantly book a top-rated doctor today. That's ZocDoc.com/Phil, ZocDoc.com/Phil. But then, diving back into the news, yet another group of public health organizations has filed a lawsuit to reverse RFK Jr.'s new vaccine guidance that absolutely gutted the recommended childhood schedule of shots. Right as we talked about a few weeks back, you had the CDC changing its guidance so that it no longer recommended that every child receive 6 key immunizations.
That's so bad.
B, flu, meningitis, RSV, and rotavirus. It cut the number of recommended childhood vaccines from 17 to 11. And so now, instead of encouraging Americans to give their children life-saving vaccines, you have the CDC guidelines saying that those shots should only be administered to smaller groups of high-risk kids or when a doctor recommends them. And so then, not long after that decision was made, you saw a group of the 6 leading medical organizations amending a lawsuit that they already had against other vaccine changes to include these new updates. And those organizations argued that the changes, they're just not based on any kind of scientific evidence and they'll be incredibly harmful to the public. But you now also have other groups dogpiling on. And this new challenge, it was filed as part of that broader lawsuit, and it takes aim at RFK Jr. directly. And so specifically, the suit accuses Kennedy of inappropriately influencing a key vaccine advisory committee called the Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices, or ACIP, by packing it with unqualified experts who share his anti-vaccine views. And in addition to trying to reverse all the recent childhood vaccine schedule changes, the new suit is also asking the court to prevent the current members of ACIP from holding any future meetings, saying that actually under federal law, the committee is required to be fairly balanced and not inappropriately influenced. Right? And with that, arguing that what we're seeing with ACIP, it's anything but that, saying that it's been stacked with RFK Jr. loyalists whose views go against scientific consensus. And so with that, you have the suit citing past statements by recently appointed members questioning the validity of vaccines, and the complaint also alleging, based on unspecified information and belief, that only Republicans and independents were considered as members of the committee. And then going on to note that more than half of the committee members have public views that align with RFK Jr.'s. Meanwhile, I also gotta say, as all this is going down, you have experts saying that the US is also now at risk of losing its measles elimination status in the coming months. But according to reports, today marks 1 year to the day that the strain of measles that caused a massive outbreak in West Texas was first detected. And in these 12 months that followed, the United States has witnessed its worst year for measles in decades. By the end of 2025, more than 2,200 cases had been confirmed. That's the highest number reported in the United States in 33
Wild.
years. And those outbreaks, they also brought the first
It was
measles
almost
deaths in
completely
over
gone.
a decade, taking the lives of 2 unvaccinated children in Texas and 1 unvaccinated adult in New Mexico. And now, a year later, the virus is continuing to circulate, with outbreaks currently ongoing in Utah and South Carolina. Right? And those new outbreaks, they have the potential to end America's measles elimination status, a designation that's given by a panel of international experts at the UN to countries that have not had a continuous spread of measles for over a year. That is a public health achievement that the United States fought fiercely for. And we won that status in 2000 after a nearly 4-decade-long campaign to promote the measles vaccine, and we've maintained it every year since. But then boom, RFK Jr.'s first year in office could also be the first year we lose that status. And that's because in order to keep the status, the United States needs to prove that the same strain of measles that caused the outbreaks last January didn't continue to spread for a full year. This status, while it's largely symbolic in practice, you have experts noting that it is still incredibly significant because it is a real, tangible piece of evidence that shows the impact of sliding vaccination rates. But also with this, I've got to note that, Kennedy's efforts to fuck up childhood immunizations, it goes beyond the United States. Because you now have the Washington Post reporting that a controversial infant vaccine trial in Africa backed by RFK Jr., it's set to proceed despite widespread backlash from the medical community. Because you see, according to reports, last month, the CDC gave researchers at the University of Southern Denmark's Bandem Health Project a $1.6 million grant to conduct a study on the health effects of hepatitis B vaccine dose timing using around 14,000 infants in Guinea-Bissau. And with this, you had the researchers saying that as part of their study, some infants will be given a Hep B shot at birth while others won't receive it until they're 6 weeks old. But then the researchers tracking participants over 5 years to document early life mortality, morbidity, and long-term developmental health.
It doesn't surprise me, Utah, because there's a lot of Mormon moms out there that love raw milk. So that doesn't really surprise me. They call themselves New Age girlies, but really it's just essential oils. Man, this is the worst. It's like they're the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. You got Death, war, pestilence. What's the other one? The fourth? Exit is like the Department of War. Trump is like, well, I guess he would be death. Pestilence is RFK.
Outcomes. Now, a big thing, Hep B is relatively common in the country, and while their current policy is to give the first immunization at 6 weeks, the nation is set to transition to giving a birth dose. And despite what the United States might now officially recommend, a birth dose is the standard recommended by the World Health Organization, largely because it's widely effective at preventing early transmission. So as a result, you have many critics arguing that it's just unethical to randomize which children will get the recommended treatment and which will get the inferior treatment, even if the country's norms haven't officially shifted yet. Also, others say that the trial, which wasn't approved by ethics boards in either the United States or Denmark, could risk exploiting a vulnerable group of people who have limited access to the Hep B shot because of the country's poor vaccine infrastructure. And then beyond that, you also have some arguing that there's really not a need for this study, where the Bandom Health Project claims that the trial is filling a gap about the overall health impacts of a Hep B vaccine birth dose. But as one infectious disease expert explained, that the benefits of a birth dose, they're already considered settled science, so the project would intentionally deny some babies a proven and recommended treatment to study a vaccine that's already been proven effective. But then also with this, there's just a lot of confusion, right? You initially had the Africa Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, which is an arm of the African Union, saying last week that the study had actually been canceled. Or you had them citing an undated document attributed to Guinea-Bissau's new government, which was formed after a military coup last year. But then you had a spokesperson for HHS contradicting that and telling reporters that the research is in fact set to proceed. But then also, as we're talking about this, we should talk about how it's not just vaccine recommendations that RFK Jr. is trying to change, but he's also changing dietary recommendations. And if America listens to it, then there could be major environmental impacts. Now, there probably won't be a big health impact because the government's dietary recommendations were already kind of being ignored for being out of date. But, you would think kicking off at the start of the year when RFK Jr. revealed a new pyramid of dietary recommendations. And the short version is that it places a much higher emphasis on proteins and a much lower emphasis on grains compared to before. The only reasons this even kind of drew headlines was because most people already knew that the food pyramid wasn't perfect by any means, and because it was literally this South Park joke. It looks like they just flipped it, and that's something that RFK Jr. had no problem leaning into by remaking that scene. The images on the pyramid raised eyebrows, such as the fact that beef is placed above what are commonly viewed as very healthy proteins like fish and shrimp. And in more practical terms, the recommendations include things like pushing for meat at every meal. And you also had the government just like really wanting you to eat and drink dairy. In fact, so much so that the Department of Agriculture put out an image of Trump sporting a
He looks like a gorilla. Like, he looks like a gorilla trying to, like, scope out his territory. Like, or like he's using his walker. Like,
a milk mustache and writing "drink whole milk," or with an emphasis on the whole part of milk because it's in line with the administration's recommendations to consume more fats. Though actually, at the end of the day, whole milk's 3%-ish fat content is barely more than the lower fat options like 2%. It's also, I'll say, borderline ridiculous to claim that there is a war on protein, as like if you look anywhere, products have increasingly branded themselves as high in protein. But even otherwise unhealthy things are adding it now, like these Pop-Tarts with 10 grams of protein. You have Americans as a whole consuming protein at record numbers, and protein deficiency is essentially non-existent. And almost all of that, it comes from land-based animals, and the push for more protein means that it needs to come from somewhere. Say there was a 25% increase in protein consumption from animals. That would require something like 100 million acres of land. That is an area of land slightly bigger than Montana. And the impacts of the meat industry, they can't be understated either. Right, cows, they're a major contributor to greenhouse gases, not that the Trump administration would care. And the factories that process meat, they're a major polluter of rivers and other bodies of water, and all of that is kind of ironic because that's not me saying it, but rather RFK Jr. back in 2004. With him saying the factory meat industry has polluted thousands of miles of America's rivers, killed billions of fish, pushed tens of thousands of family farmers off their land, sickened and killed thousands of US citizens, and treated millions of farm animals with unspeakable and unnecessary cruelty. Also, a lot of these changes, they don't appear to actually be coming from a concern about America's health, but instead worrying about American ranchers, with a spokesperson for the HHS saying the Trump administration will no longer weaponize federal food policy to destroy the livelihoods of hardworking American ranchers and protein producers under the radical dogma of the Green New Scam. And then there's even more we've got to dive into, but first let me say, Valentine's Day gifts, they're either stressful, overpriced, or they end up dying in a vase by Tuesday. And that is actually why today's sponsor, MeUndies, is honestly a cheat code for gifting. Instead of guessing jewelry sizes or panic buying chocolates, get matching underwear for couples that are
I don't mind, like, I like gifts.
Same print,
I like gifts. Gifts are my language. Or a love language I speak, but I don't like gifts as in like expensive stuff. So like the concept of Valentine's Day bugs me because like I hate when people get me a gift because they
awesome
have
hair
to.
and call it romantic type of thing, right?
Like,
Me
I'd rather
undies
you
are
just get me
intentional
something
and
because
they're
you were
actually
thinking of
stylish. And
me,
their Valentine's collection is made
not
specifically for couples,
because
which makes it feel personal instead of
you know,
last minute.
it's a
People, they
required
clearly agree.
holiday.
Over 30 million pairs have been
Just
sold
it
and
bothers
over
me.
90,000 five-star reviews, which isn't an accident. Plus, their first
When I
pair
hear like, oh, get some underwear for Valentine's Day, it's like, ugh.
Right. This is the kind of
I was already getting underwear.
keeps paying off every time you wear them. So hey, make this Valentine's Day one to remember with matching underwear from MeUndies. And to get exclusive deals up to 50% off, just go to MeUndies.com/PhilipDeFranco or scan that QR code and use promo code PhilipDeFranco. It's MeUndies.com/PhilipDeFranco, promo code PhilipDeFranco for up to 50% off MeUndies. But then diving back into the news, right? More news you need to know. This Netflix and Paramount fight over Warner Brothers, it's not going away anytime soon. Because Netflix is now throwing an all-cash offer at WB. Because you see, quick TLDR, Warner Brothers, they put themselves up for sale last year, and eventually a deal was announced for Netflix to buy them. But then Paramount, they responded by launching a hostile takeover bid, and while WB has repeatedly rejected their offers, Paramount, they're just refusing to give up the fight. And so now this new Netflix offer you're seeing, it's clearly being made to fend off Paramount. And as far as the numbers, it's worth just under $28 per share, which means an $83 billion value. And so you have both companies saying that this simplifies and clarifies the offer and allows for a shareholder vote by April. But then also likely what you're seeing here is it's going to put pressure on Paramount to throw more shiny objects at WB. Though again, as we've talked about before, both of these deals, they'll have major hurdles. And not just because, there's a ton of concern and criticism in Hollywood, but also because they'll need regulatory approval from the Trump administration. And that's especially notable because Trump's been inserting himself into the picture. And actually, just over the weekend, we learned that after Netflix and WB first announced their deal last year, Trump purchased up to $2 million in bonds in both companies. Or with that coming from a financial disclosure form released by the White House, which shows that he made investments on December 12th and 16th. And while you have the White House saying that his stock and bond portfolio is managed independently and that there are no conflicts of interest, this news, of course, still raised alarms. Right? Because you have Trump himself saying he would be involved in reviewing any Warner Brothers deal. Which, just for the record, he really shouldn't be. But of course, that hasn't stopped him from weighing in very, very publicly. Well, so even with that, it's not really fully clear where he stands. And so, for example, just over a week ago, he took to Truth Social to link out an op-ed titled "Stop the Netflix Cultural Takeover," an op-ed that argues that Paramount's bid is of significantly higher value than Netflix's, but that WBD's board rejected a financially superior offer because Netflix was the woker, ideologically preferred buyer. And it actually called on the Trump administration to say no to a woke media monopoly before the damage becomes impossible to reverse. And so you might see that and go, okay, well, it looks pretty clear that Trump might favor Paramount. But then also, maybe not, because just a month ago, he raged against Paramount, CBS, and the leadership there, saying that if they are my friends, I'd hate to see my enemies. Though I will say, since then, CBS and Paramount have seemingly gone into kiss Trump's ass overdrive mode. And with that, it's been widely seen that the fight for WB is a major motivator behind CBS's big rightward shift, which we talked about yesterday. But that, my friends, you beautiful bastards, is where your Tuesday Philip DeFranco show dive into the news is going to end. Thanks as always for sharing another part of your day with
What
me.
a time to be alive. I can't believe I lived to see all of my favorite moments in history happen at one time. Well, I guess it's not technically happening all at one time. It's happening at the speed it would happen in, before. A little bit faster because of how fast the world is. Sorry, I'm just checking the news. If there's any. I don't know if I'm gonna game tonight. Kind of cold, and I'd like to go inside. Also, we're supposed to get snow this weekend. I found out from the bus driver today. They were like, "You ready for the snow?" I was like, "More?" It snowed. I think Sunday into Monday. So, we were like, "More?" I was like, "More?" And she was like, "Yeah, we're supposed to get like 5 to 8 inches on Saturday, and like 6 to like whatever on Sunday." And I was like, "Oh, I'm not ready for that." Actually, it would be fun. It would be fun. I just hope that there would be school on Monday because it would be wild. It would be wild. It would be, I need a break. Okay, they were already home for like 4 days in a row. I would like to stop living through historical events. I saw a bumper sticker today that said, "How can I live, laugh, love in moments like this?" Or like when everything is, it was, I forget what the second part was, but I was just cackling with like, "How can I live, laugh, love in this economy?" Like, and then the other bumper sticker was, It said, like, this man ate my son, and it's a picture of Ted Cruz. And I was cackling. Oh my God. I sat there and I just stared at the other bumper stickers, just laughing. It was so funny. Oof. I would like for history to not happen. That's the thing about history, baby. It's always happening. Just some things get written down and some don't. Come on. Load. Oh yeah, they were live here earlier.
Intention on a day really show the mass of people. Now, one day isn't enough for us all to heal from the torment and torture that we've experienced in these neighborhoods, but it is something to see that we are all together in this.
Ashley, thank you very much. Is there anything else you would want to add while you had the platform?
I would just say happy birthday to MLK Jr. And I think that, it's not just about the immigrants in our community. It's about every single individual in this country experiencing equality. And the billionaires need to equalize our experience.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Ashley, I appreciate the time.
Yep.
Let's get back to it. Just one voice there, a mother who you heard talking about, a mother there where you hear talking about her children's experience here in the Twin Cities area. Young boys who still, despite their young age, have to wrestle with the fact that the president
I did not realize this many people lived in Minnesota. That's a lot of people.
is directly targeting their communities, making their friends, making their teachers afraid, that fear breaking through to them. And that's something that is an experience that is being echoed all across the city, all across this state, and in other cities that the Trump administration has directly targeted. That's just one voice. And then you see the hundreds upon hundreds of people that are out here, and you start to think about all of their reasoning for being out here. Whether that be because they have kids who are suffering, or be it because, they themselves are worried about being directly targeted, or having family members who are being directly targeted, or in some way being victimized by this administration and the crackdown that it is carrying out, potentially fearing that deployment of troops that the president is apparently making those early steps to do, deploying the 11th Airborne Division, putting it in a more readied state, telling it to potentially deploy, be prepared to potentially deploy here to Minneapolis. We're taking a quick break here just so that we can warm ourselves up as much as we can. We've got hand warmers out here today, something that we did not have last night. We've got extra layers that we are wearing, but the cold out here still takes a toll, so we have to.
Yeah, it's 18 degrees here in Jersey. I can't imagine what it's like there right now. Oh my goodness.
Multiple requests for a response to the allegations about the conditions at Dilley, but in court documents
I'm
filed
glad
last
these protests
month,
are
the administration
happening.
wrote, quote,
It's the most
ICE's
American thing you
actions
can do.
exemplify a model of regulatory
God, I get choked
compliance
up so
and
easily.
humane care.
It's the most American thing you can do to show your patriotism, is to stand up for your neighbors and yourself and your family, and even your own country, and say we don't want this.
They are not
and I'm going to
complying.
protect the people I care about. And that to me is patriotism. I can't wait. I can't wait for the stock market crash. I know it's gonna be I'm gonna be like Elmo, all rugged up and cooked, but standing there cackling as the stock market crash. I'm cooked. We all know we're cooked, but it's just funny. Just like, we knew this would happen. Like I said, it's like Cassandra seeing Troy fall. I literally, I told you. Oh my God, JD Vance. Oh shit, I can't believe they're having a baby. This is not the time to be having a baby.
President Trump is heading to Davos, Switzerland later on today for the World Economic Forum.
Oh wait, this
European
is CBS.
allies hope to de-escalate
Never
tensions
mind.
over.
I'm sorry, I don't watch state propaganda. Or anyone. I wish Jimmy Kimmel was talking about this.
President Trump is making a special appearance at today's press briefing as
No, I don't want the long version. I watched part of the long version. It was rough, buddy.
Here's the book on accomplishments. And this is something, ooh, I'm glad my finger wasn't in that sucker. They could have done some damage, but you know what? I wouldn't have shown the pain. I would have gone back. Boy, did you hear that? That was nasty. But I would not have shown the pain. I would have acted like nothing happened as my finger fell off.
Okay, Grandpa.
That was nasty. I think somebody did that. I think it was him. It was my man. How were you? You didn't do it. I know you did. I know you didn't. So, but here is the.
Ow.
Here's the book. These are all things we have. I'm going to read a few of the samples, but look at this. These are all. Each line is something that we did. Nobody did that before. And it's big stuff too. Look, we have the hottest country in the world. So, I will read you a few.
Oh, why did he do that? Why did he just chuck it?
How far are you willing to go to acquire Greenland?
You'll find out.
If a consequence of your determination to take control of Greenland is the ultimate breakup of the NATO alliance, is that a price you're willing to pay?
You mean the breakup of it's very interesting
NATO
question.
alliance.
So I think something's going to happen that's going to be very good for everybody. I think that we will work something out where NATO is going to be very happy and where we're going to be very happy. But we need it for security purposes. We need it for national security and even world security. It's very important. How about it?
You said you're confident something's going to get worked out in Greenland, but Greenlanders have made it clear they don't want to be part of the U.S.
Well,
what
I haven't.
gives the
I
U.S.
haven't.
the right to
I
take
haven't
away that
spoken.
self-determination?
When I speak to them, I'm sure they'll be thrilled.
Mr. President, are you committed to keeping the U.S. in NATO?
I've had such a good relationship. I've made it so much better, so much stronger. It's so good now. NATO is so much stronger now. I don't agree with a lot of the things they've done, but that was done before I got there. I think NATO's been good. Sometimes it's overrated, sometimes it's not, but we have a strong NATO. NATO's, whether you like it or not, it's only as good as we are. If NATO doesn't have us, NATO is not very strong. The big fear I have with NATO is
It's so wild because like we made it that way. We made it so other nations had to put like their trust in us and like let us put bases everywhere in every country. And like we did that and now we're like, "Oh, you know, you owe us for us demanding that we take care of you." And it's like, "Bro, that's not what happened."
we spend tremendous amounts of money with NATO. And I know we'll come to their rescue, but I just really do question whether or not they'll come to ours. You know, I'm just asking. Just saying, right? You remember during the debate? Just saying.
Why is he that? I don't understand it. All right, everybody. I'm going to get out of here for the night. I want to go eat some pizza instead of some chips. I will be mostly back to my regular schedule, I believe, tomorrow. But I'm not 100% sure. But I know Tim's not feeling very well. I think Daisy's not streaming yet or later. But I am going to get out of here tonight. I will see you guys later. I hope you have a safe and wonderful evening and you stay nice and warm. It's going to be so cold by the time I get inside. Anyway, bye everybody.